You're listening to Well, I Laughed, Part 1 of Law and Disorder, Good Cop, Bad Cop.
And my phone's on Do Not Disturb, so
I should do that.
I'm ready to go.
Because we have and they have not.
Did you do theater when you were in high school?
I did. No, not really.
There's this fun story from a few years ago. We hired a new English teacher, and we're at some staff barbecue early on in the year. I don't want it to catch the cord on fire.
Well, then move the fucking cord.
Just moving stuff. I'll just move stuff. All right, so there is this really fun story from a couple years ago at the school I teach at. We hired a new English teacher. She was lovely. We're at a staff barbecue get to know you thing early on in the school year, and I'm, telling a story, killing it, shocking nobody. And it's a story about how when I was in college, I thought I was off to going to seeing a stage play of Tyler Perry's A Medea's House of Pain, and what I actually was off to go see was the ancient Greek play Medea.
No!
It's a great story, kills every time, right? And at the end of it, this poor, sweet 22-year-old brand new little baby English teacher goes, wait, so you did like theater in college? And I was like, I mean, yeah, kind of. And she
As in I was acting.
Right, exactly. I was like, every day life's a stage, baby. I don't know what you're ready for my close-up, right? I was like, yeah. And she goes, so then can I assume...
No, you can't.
Everyone in the entire patio immediately, like everyone's looking at each other. It's a Spider-Man meme. And she goes, can I assume you might be interested in starting a theater program at school?
Oh, okay, never mind.
I was like, oh, sweet baby. You don't even know what you don't know. Obviously, I'd be interested in starting a theater program at school.
100% I would.
And then here's the thing. Smarter, not harder when it comes to work. I got her to kind of start a theater program.
Love
but
that.
because of inequality, our school doesn't have a theater or a stage or a sound system or a library. Or really even a multi-purpose room. And so I told her, this first year, you might just want to start off with like kids experimenting with theater, like working on some monologues and stuff like that. And she was like, that's great. And then just so happened, some of the speech and debate kids ended up in her room with their monologues for the speech and debate team, and they worked on them together. And I think that's really beautiful. Did I manage to turn her theater program into just an additional coaching opportunity for my own? Of course.
Yes.
I think I nurtured a basket of dreams, actually, is what I did. For both staff and students. Basket of dreams.
Oh my gosh.
So it's nice to be back at school. I just kind of really feel like that's where I thrive.
I'm so happy for you. How is your last... we've seen each other every day since we recorded last.
We've seen each other so much. It's so fun to watch the pendulum swing from like, I haven't seen you in forever codependency to...
Get out of my house.
I'm tired of breathing your carbon. I'll say this. I was going to tell you beforehand, but I wanted to catch it on mic. Okay, so you're familiar with, I think they've won like a television Emmy or something, RuPaul's Drag Race, right? Okay, so it's kind of like a famously not secret that a lot of times below the desk, RuPaul's in like sweatpants.
Yeah.
She's like dressed to the nines above it, and below hand.
Nothing.
Right.
I mean, well.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm in like my Well I Laughed sweater. I'm like shaved. The part that you can see on camera and on reels looks like I want it to. Below, I'm like...
Before he tells you what he's wearing, I want you to know, I went to walk the dogs, and he came while I was like still out, and I walk in, Casey's like making drinks or whatever, and Grant is sitting on my couch, kind of lounged out, leaning back. One leg is like up on the couch, and he goes, I hope you're not intimidated by my apparent sexuality.
No, by like pure raw sexual energy.
Yes. And now tell them what you're wearing underneath.
Just picture your dad mowing the yard, but maybe even worse.
Yeah.
It's long johns, free socks I got after a 5K, and athletic shorts with grease on them.
Cute.
Thank
it's a
you.
good look.
I'm pausing for a second because I think you're
No, I was just closing Discord because otherwise it was going to keep beeping at me.
There was just a moment where I was like, I could change and shower, but I'm not going to. Let's go.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
One last little bit of news, running related, of course. I got a little North Face like chest bag. I think we used to call them fanny packs in the early 2000s.
I saw it while I was walking in.
Yeah, absolutely. I get how nice purses are. I get it. Right now it has gum, chapstick, my wallet, and keys. Has my whole life, baby. So if someone could take that from me so I could disappear, that would be great.
If you see Grant walking down the streets, rob him.
Exactly. It's a clasp. It's a clasp in the back.
If you think I'm editing that
I know you're
wrong.
not. I saw you almost go like, good, excellent, suffer in your eyes. And I love you for that. And I love you for that.
I'm a little vindictive. It's
I think
fine.
the longer we spend together, the more you treat me like I treat my students.
Yep.
Changing lives.
I'm not going to say a damn thing. I'm just going to let him walk through it.
I'm an excellent educator.
Oh my God.
How are you?
I am like, so this story is going to be interesting because I was so in this story yesterday and the day before. We were supposed to record last night and then, I realized I had 12 pages of notes, which means it's going to be a longish boy. And I wasn't quite done with the notes either. And so I know Grant had a tournament yesterday.
We did.
And I was texting him and I was like, so I know you said that we can record tonight. You think you're going to be too tired? Because it's going to be, it's not going to be a short one.
And I'm like, yes! I wanted to make a soup.
Really
I mean, only if you insist. I want to respect your process.
And so, anyway, yesterday, I finished most of my notes, and then I went to an Avalanche game, and then went out for drinks with Mason and Abby.
We both had the exact kind of evenings we wanted.
That was good.
How are our friends, Mason and Abby? How are they?
They're so cute. I love them so much.
I
I love Mason.
They're both so fun.
Yeah.
Is this our first time talking about him on the pod?
I don't think so. No, because you mentioned because I was on a Patreon thing that you talked about.
Oh, okay, fun.
Yeah.
Another person for the cinematic universe.
For the cinematic universe, yeah. He's a gem. He's really sweet.
I think we mentioned it at the end of last episode, but for those who jump straight to this, we're doing part 1 of Law and Disorder.
Fuck yeah, baby.
I'm ready to hear it. I don't know if it's because we spent 4 days together in the mountains
God,
and then 3 of the last 5 days together at your house or social events, but I'm like, I have nothing new to tell you. Tell me what my ears want to hear.
Oh, the other random thing that happened yesterday is that I was up really late, a little toasty, and I got really into poker, and I'm still...
What? What?
I told you this morning.
No, you didn't.
I did at brunch.
Did not. What did you say at brunch?
I said I got really into poker last night, and then Sophie said we should play poker.
No, I thought you just said things in the way you say things. You know, you're like, oh,
so you just don't listen.
I do, but I was like, listen. You said, oh, I'd love to play poker sometimes. I didn't clock that as I started playing poker last night at 3 a.m.
I didn't start playing poker. I started watching the World Championship of poker.
That's so much more embarrassing. I want you to know that.
I know.
Because there's not even any chemical addiction brain activity.
No, it's not.
There.
But I have learned the rules of poker repeatedly throughout the years, but it's always been short-term memory. So every time I see it or play, I have to relearn. So that's what happened last night. It was just recommended on YouTube TV or whatever. So I flipped it on and then looked up the rules, played a couple online little free games against a computer, and then got really into poker.
Is this how the podcast started? You saw a little YouTube video, you looked at a couple things online, and
I was like, I can do it.
This out. Good, excellent. Listen,
that's exactly what happened.
We're both wearing the sweater right now,
I know,
so
on
life
accident
changing.
too.
Yes.
Also, we have a candle. If you're not watching on YouTube, we have a candle here that was sent to us by a listener.
Yes.
It was our first fan mail ever, or part of our first fan mail ever. Their name is Aaron, I believe.
Right.
And it's supposed to smell. They're from Tennessee, and so it's supposed to smell like Tennessee. But
it smells delicious.
It's really cute.
It says specifically Nashville, gold and ivory, accents of music, whiskey, and good times.
It's very cute.
It's also a great smelling candle.
It is really good. Anyway,
I'm sorry. I'm not quite done yet with I told you about my new gambling addiction.
I didn't gamble anything. All I did was watch other people gamble.
I would lie about that if I were you. I would say you lost a little bit of money or something.
No, why?
Because of this. I'm a pretty good hustler when it comes to poker because I legitimately do at the start of the game always kind of forget what the rules are and have to pull up something on my phone for winning hands.
Yeah.
But because everyone's like, oh, Grant's clueless. He doesn't know what he's doing. They assume I've never played poker or that I can't lie. Oh, I can.
The game I was watching last night, everyone's like dead quiet, right?
Right.
Except for this one guy who just keeps trying to make conversation with everyone.
Huge me energy.
And there's like a clip of him being interviewed, and he's like, yeah, I just like to like lighten the mood and stuff. And from what I could tell, it wasn't like any tell or any. He was doing very well, but it was still like, bro, shut up. No one else is
doing math in my head right now.
And there was another guy, like, he flips over 2 aces, and he had won the round. It was very obvious, and the other guy like went all in, and so like he knew the other guy was like about to lose.
I like how you've watched one night of it, and you're like, "Wow, that's the killer move right there." Headshot.
It's so fucking funny though, because he flipped him over, and like he's younger than like most of the other people, and so he like gets out of his chair and he's like pumping his fist and like going over to his family and everything. And the announcers were like, "I wish he had a little bit more decorum around the table."
Shut up! That's so funny.
And then they also do, like, you know, when you're watching sports and they like are talking about a player or something, they'll have like slow-mo shots of them like playing.
Right.
They do that for poker, but it's like when they place their bets, and so it's like no real music or anything. All of a sudden you just hear all in.
I love that. I love that it's shot the same way you would shoot close-up Magic.
Yeah.
Like, is this the World Series of Poker or Chris Angel? You know?
We don't know. It was fucking crazy. I had a good
Is this
time.
your card?
Is this your card? Yeah.
On the decorum aspect. So when we go to tournaments, like I'm frequently asked to help run the computer program that sends out like the ballots to the judges and stuff like that. So it means I can and do monitor results as they come back in, and you can check your own team.
Yeah.
And so whenever we have like a crucial win come in, or a kid does really well in like a specific competition round, right? It's not like a touchdown dance or anything, but I have been known to on a handful of occasions go, hell yeah. Okay, round 3. You know, and it's just like, you know, and then you got to get back to the work of it all. But yeah, like
That's
a more
hilarious.
subdued, bit more decorum. But yeah, absolutely, you got to celebrate a little bit.
You do, exactly. And yeah.
Oh, you haven't even seen Saltburn yet, so it's probably not on your TikTok page yet, are you? Is it on your TikTok page?
No, I mean, I've been hearing about it from everyone and their brother.
Farley singing Rent in the "You took me to a restaurant."
Okay.
You don't know? Listen.
Like, I know Rent.
No. Shh. You think you do? It's not even from that musical. It's a different song entirely.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say is there's an earworm stuck in my head, and the actor who plays Farley, I think his name's Archer. So fine. And honestly, a great karaoke singer.
Love that.
I also have thoughts on the recent Dan Levy movie, but that might be a little bit too niche. So let's hear the story.
I didn't know Dan Levy had a new movie even.
It's called Good Grief. It just premiered today.
I would absolutely watch it.
Okay, I'll say one thing. Since you twisted my arm about it.
I didn't.
I know.
That's fine.
And they know it.
Yeah.
And I know it. And the dogs know it. In case you will know it in 2 weeks when he hears this.
It's true.
So many movies where the main character is gay. It's like, look at these 2 college students who are hot. Like, that's the entire plot entirely. Or it's like, look at these people from the 80s. They die, right? And every now and then you get sad old lesbian movie, right?
Yeah.
And all of those are great for different reasons. I'm not at all trying to spit down on, like, those narratives. It's just also not one that I walk through regularly in my own life. In Dan Levy's newest movie, Good Grief, at one point he goes to a financial planner. And I'm like, yes, middle-aged gay, yes! This is representation that matters. Talk about their investments for 2 minutes. Oh. I was going to say that. Oh.
Do you want me to cut that?
I don't know. I'll let you make the call when you're listening to it.
I don't care about my language. I don't care about yours.
I think I've said worse, so we can
Okay.
keep it. I think that's the first time I've said that on this. I just got carried away. You know, I got caught up in the moment. And that's it. You had a story, and I want to stop swearing for a second. Maybe all of the seconds, but I want to hear your story.
Okay, so this story, Casey helped me come up with the theme, and as you probably know, we kind of pick our stories before we pick the themes, if it's our turn to pick the theme. And so I had known what I wanted to do, and so we came up with Law and Order first, and then I was like, no, it doesn't really fit. Let's make it Law and Disorder.
Right.
And so I was doing that, and then I watched a documentary, like, I don't know, a couple days before I started doing the notes, and realized that Law and Disorder fits perfectly with kind of another story, too.
Okay.
Like, kind of fits in an opposite way from the first story. Anyway, if you remember episode 5, my feral people living in the wilderness hermit episode.
North Pond Hermit.
Yeah, that's the one
which
where
was a lot of fun to record.
It was, yeah, and it's just like some mini series. Yeah, this one is like two halves.
Okay.
Right, and it's not going to be like a Patty Hearst 2 halves, but it does have like 2 separate stories.
The amount of documentaries that you watch, or like docuseries, it's impressive.
Thank you. I just put them on sometimes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So the first half of our story is going to take us to February of 1861.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yes, 1861.
Wait.
Did we do the same fucking story?
I don't think so, but I want us to just put a little flag right here.
You might.
No, I'm almost positive we did it, but I think we missed it by like 18 months. I'm not even joking. Sorry if that's too much of a spoiler for what the next episode's going to be, but why is it every time? We both got out of the Gilded Age, and we just went later.
The second half is
back
recent.
to the Gilded Age.
No, recent.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Overcook, undercook.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't like that. Anyway.
Also jail.
Tell me.
Jail. February 1861.
Along the railroad from Illinois to Washington, D.C., specifically, we're in Baltimore.
Okay.
Grant, who do you think might be traveling to our nation's capital in the early months of 1861?
Thank you so much. So Abraham Lincoln wins the presidential election of 1860, does so without carrying a single Southern state. In many states, he's not even on the ballot. So it is legal. Just wanted to go ahead.
Yeah,
that was
let's
contemporary.
Just get that out right now.
Not even on the ballot in many of those southern states. And before he is even fully sworn in, the state of South Carolina is discussing in their state house succession from the Union to start I said Succession, like the HBO show, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. It really took me a minute. Took me a minute in my head. I was like, no, that's not right.
To discuss secession.
There it
What
is.
was that? The upper crust of society? What are they called?
Jesus.
Aristocracy. Anyway, so he's traveling to Washington, D.C., which is famously close to, did you say Baltimore, Maryland?
Baltimore. He's in Baltimore.
Okay.
Is where this goes. Yep. So that's right. The president-elect. Honest Abraham Lincoln.
Correct.
Honest Abe was set to travel through Baltimore on February 23rd. One of Lincoln's supporters is a railroad executive, Samuel Morse Felton Sr., and he had heard some troubling rumors. Dear listener, I went down a rabbit hole as soon as I read. This is like one of the last things I put on my thing yesterday.
For this.
This rabbit hole has nothing to do with the rest of the story.
The one that we're currently in?
Well, this part about Samuel Morse or Felton Sr. I saw the word Morse and went, no, right? No. And so I Googled it. Samuel Morse Felton Sr. is, I found so many lineage. I was literally on like some version of Ancestry.com, like clicking through.
You had registered with the Mormon Church to get access to their family records kind of stuff?
Basically, Samuel Morse Felton Sr. Is related to the inventor of Morse code.
Oh.
Because I saw the word Morse and I was like, is he the inventor? And I got really confused because I Googled inventor of Morse code, and the inventor of Morse code is Samuel F.B. Morse. And if you'll remember, the person I mentioned was Samuel Morse Felton. They're very similar.
Samuel Morse F instead of Samuel F. Morse.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Okay,
and
cool.
So,
love a theme.
Samuel Morse Felton Sr.'s great-great-great-grandfather was Joshua Morse, who was brothers with Anthony Morse, who was Samuel F.B. Morse's great-great-great-grandfather, a.k.a. the inventor of Morse
We
code.
have someone in our community who commented that I got like second cousin, third cousins wrong, and that was good to know. I
didn't
forget
even
what
try to figure
I think
out
it's like
how,
once removed, but okay, so he's vaguely related to the Morse family.
Who was alive, I think, at the same time.
Okay,
so that's why it
fine.
really got confusing for me.
Fine.
And then my next bullet is, this rabbit hole took me forever, but my LRB, parentheses, little rat brain, wouldn't let it go.
New sticker.
LRB, parentheses, little rat
I also kind of love it because we are 3 days and 1 episode removed from when you admitted that you just learned what a rat king is, and that I love Little Rat Brain is still like part of your identity.
Yeah, it will.
Are we getting Baby Bell cheese at some point in this
No, because
episode?
you stole all of them.
I did not steal all of them. Your fiance said, and I quote,
Listen,
we have enough Baby Bells.
You took the bag, which means you should now be supplying the Baby Bell. We have 10. The 10 that you left
I brought you 6 ramen cups today, and I'm working to make this house a home.
Okay, sure.
And by that I mean I'm trying to eat as many Baby Bells as I can as quickly as possible before anyone can investigate
No,
further.
that's really fair. Okay.
I was going to show up with a warrant any day now. Okay, sorry. We were in Baltimore 150 years ago.
Yes, so one of Lincoln's supporters, the not inventor of Morse code, but related to inventor of Morse code. Here's a troubling rumor. The rumor is that there are Southern sympathizers that might sabotage the rail lines to D.C.,
because Maryland is a state that allows the enslavement of Black Americans at the time. It is like definitely a border state. And so, more than like Southern sympathizers, there are like Southern enslavers in Maryland actively worried about what this new president's administration is going to do. I'm sorry, my history education degree is a curse. I am so excited about this.
I'm really happy for you. This story has nothing to do with Abraham Lincoln.
Listener, real quick. You know how when you go on a date...
small mini story in the whole
You know how
story.
when you go on a date and you go, wow, that went really well. Like, how rare to feel this way about a situation like that. Like, I feel seeing her, they never want to see me again. Okay. And like that text message comes across and they're like, hey, it was really great meeting you, but, and it's like, that's what you just did to me. You just told me we're not going to learn about John Wilkes Booth. And
I just saw the light in your eyes die.
Well, go ahead and go then.
This Abraham Lincoln thing is like not even a page long. So sorry.
I refuse to sit upright right now.
We're going to talk about other historical things.
I am sat like a sack of flour right now in all of this.
Anyway. So Samuel Morse Felton goes to a man named Allen, who is heading up Lincoln's security on this journey. They, together, either Allen or Samuel, learn there's a secret group planning on assassinating Lincoln as he switched trains in Baltimore on his way to D.C. There's a quote of like something that they overheard that says, "Are there no other means of saving the South except the assassination of Lincoln?" asked someone at the meeting, to which Allen reported that his contact replied, "No, he must die, and die he shall. And if necessary, we will die together." And so they're like, what?
Men will literally overthrow the government before they go to therapy.
It's crazy how that's still applicable.
What's today, January 7th?
Interesting. So Allen tracks Abe down and informs him and hit one of his like coworkers, one of the other security personnel, Kate Warren, and others arranged for Lincoln to secretly board an overnight train to pass through Baltimore hours before his published schedule. They also cut telegraph lines to ensure conspirators couldn't communicate with one another, and to kind of disguise Lincoln, they had Lincoln pose as Warren's invalid brother.
Nice.
And so they succeeded. Who is Allen? Do you know? Because this is before...
What was his last name again?
I'm not telling you yet.
Oh, you haven't said Allen yet.
No, I haven't said anything yet. This is before the time of Secret Service,
Is
by the
it
way.
A-L-L-E-N or A-L-A-N?
A-L-L-A-N.
Okay, well, that's wrong.
I agree, but like that's
Is he the future Treasury Secretary?
Nope.
His name's Alan? Mm-hmm. Is it Alan Morse, the inventor of toaster strudel?
My father, Samuel Morse.
I don't think my father, would be happy, about what's going on right now, The best part about this is I can do any bit, and you're immediately like, yes, and
It was really, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's what makes his house a home.
I have no idea who Alan is.
Alan Pinkerton, baby!
Oh, hell yeah! Oh, we're doing the Pinkertons! All right, I'm back. I'm sat it up again.
There
I'm
it
sat
is.
up. All right. I very much wanted to talk about Lincoln for the next 3 hours.
I saw it in your face.
I might change my topic now, but you do you.
Did you cover... What do you mean you're going to change your topic?
So I can talk about Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, okay, I get it.
No, not that I know hours of details about the Pinkertons.
Okay.
The one thing I know about the Pinkertons is that they were called in to investigate the Great Sheedy Murder in Lincoln, Nebraska, which would happen 20 years after the story.
Exactly. So, his name is Alan Pinkerton. The decision that he made with the help of like the rest of the security detail resulted in Abe being labeled a coward in the press because, you know, when you find out someone's going to assassinate you and you don't let them assassinate you, you then are a coward? Like, what? I don't know. But none of the would-be assassins were arrested, leading some to believe that there was never a threat or that it was exaggerated or Pinkerton himself made it up for like, I don't know, fame.
Publicity?
Yeah. So now is some of my sources. This covers some of the sources that I also use in the second half. And these are the sources that are not going to be like give away kind of what the second half of the story is or anything else that we talk about. The sources were Britannica, History Channel, the Smithsonian Magazine, CNBC, Vanity Fair, The Guardian, BBC, the Chicago Tribune, Maryland State Archives, Wired, The Record, Newsweek, The Daily Dot, and then there's like some other assorted ones to check me.
Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder you needed a couple more days.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a lot to get through.
So, the Pinkertons. They were founded in 1850 by Alan Pinkerton. He immigrated to Chicago in 1842 and opened a barrel-making business, which is also known as a cooperage. Someone's going to yell at me
no
at
idea.
that. I know it. It's Cooperage. I didn't know that.
Cooperage sounds right.
Exactly.
Copperage?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Cooperage?
Okay.
Maybe Cooperage. Anyway, 5
Bradley
years.
Cooperage?
There it is.
Good, found it. Got it. Cool. Sounds right on the ear.
So 5 years later, Alan stumbles upon counterfeiters scrounging for lumber. He conducts his own surveillance and was hailed a local hero after he helps the police make arrests.
See these poor people just trying to get by? I ruin their life. Local man ruins poor people's lives. That's still true about America today.
And that's still true about the Pinkertons sometimes.
I want to say something about Elon Musk, but I know YouTube will get mad at us. So
YouTube will get so mad at us. Oh my God. Okay, so this leads to him becoming a deputy sheriff of Cook County, Illinois.
I love it. They're like, this man imprisoned poor people without being part of the law. Let's quickly get him into the law.
Yeah.
Let's give him even more judicial immunity. I'm sorry. I'm
my
sure he's a
God.
decent guy, but
Yeah.
maybe actually, no, I'm not sure.
He's okay. He was Chicago's first police detective, and then after a while, he...
What do you mean their first police detective?
First detective,
The first
I don't know.
person whose job was to like...
Was detective,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
So after this, he founds the Pinkertons. He ends up leaving the police force to found the Pinkertons. Originally, they specialized in railway theft cases. So they were hired to protect trains and apprehend train robbers. One of their most notorious, or not most notorious, but one of the cases that they solved was a 700,000 Adams Express Company theft in 1866. Did you have something to say?
Just like what a very niche thing to get involved in.
Yeah, dude.
We are great at discovering who did crimes that happen on a very specific track on a publishable schedule.
Yep.
Okay, good for them.
Dude, I don't know.
Kind of feel like murder would be a little bit harder, but what do I know?
What do I know? Yeah. 1861, they thwarted an assassination plot against President-elect Abraham Lincoln. They participated...
Allegedly.
Alleged assassination. They have some other things we're going to get into more, and generally around this time, private agencies such as the Pinkertons were, I believe, probably the first of their trade, or one of the early ones of their trade. They were compromised of two services offered: detective services and protective services. So detective, like PI, hire someone to find your birth dad, or protective, like my name is Kim Kardashian and people are going to rob me in Paris.
You know how a lot of police forces have the slogan "Protect and Serve"?
Yeah.
And theirs is "Protect and Detect."
Protect and detect!
I just like a little rhyming moment.
No, their thing, what is it? So their slogan is "We never sleep."
Oh.
Somehow creepier.
Like, I am the constant vigilant
Yeah,
at
we can
night.
look at their logo. The Pinkertons are still around now, today, you guys. So this is their logo today. It's a very modern one. And then this is their previous.
Oh, that's
their
just an
originals.
eye.
It's just an
That's
eye.
an eye laid with dollar bill font that says Pinkertons.
Which is really fun because do you know another like slang term for a private investigator?
A sleuth?
A private eye.
Oh!
And that's where this came from.
It's a little eye, because they never sleep.
Yep. So one of their big cases, I was kind of Googling stuff the Pinkertons did.
Okay.
I ended up on this Reddit page, and there's like someone was asking about the Pinkertons, and so there was a bunch of historians kind of talking about it in the comments, and then they like linked a bunch of sources, and that's where I got here. There's a infamous gang in the like Old West called the Jesse Gang.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was started by Jesse and Frank James, who are two notorious brothers of the American West in the late 1800s, so like 1850s on.
Okay.
These two are part of the reason we remember the American West in this time being the way it is: robberies, violence, like all of that kind of stuff. Like,
I mean, in addition to the colonization that the U.S. federal government was engaged in.
Yeah, if you've seen Westworld, like all the
the
bad shit.
Okay. Some of the bad shit, at
some
least.
of the bad shit.
A lot of bad shit happening out west.
Yeah. Some of the bad shit in season 1. It really goes off the rails from there.
The story this time American history is so crazy just for the characters that are involved in it all.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So they hailed from Missouri. And Jesse and Frank began joining fighting forces in the Civil War on the southern side, as one does. But not like actually in the army. Frank joins the Confederate guerrillas, and Jesse joins Bloody Bill Anderson's guerrilla band. So they're just doing...
Where are they operating out of? Because I know there were a couple battles on like New Mexico and...
I don't know if they have really a base of operations.
Gotcha.
Yeah. After the Civil War, they took up the helm of being outlaws and were joined by 8 other men. They began bank robbery as of February 13th, 1866.
That's a boy band. Can we talk about that for a second? Hey, what if we all spent our lives perfecting our art together? Let's travel together. Let's have a weird brotherly relationship, but we're all grown adult men.
No homo, though.
That's a boy band.
Yeah.
A boy band with guns. Which I think makes them more interesting. Also, they give K-pop boy bands guns all the time. Because you have to join the military in Korea. It's both a joke and factually accurate.
And true.
In no way is it offensive, but it is
really,
fun.
That is really funny. I can't imagine... Anyway.
There's this whole TikTok series right now about calling things that are all men, either intentionally or unintentionally, like a boy band. Like, for instance, like the U.S. Supreme Court of the 1950s and 60s.
Boy band. I fucking love that.
Most of the U.S. Senate. Boy band.
Boy band.
The office of president, still to this day.
Boy band. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're starting bank robbery. The James gang robbed banks from Iowa to Alabama and Texas, and then began holding up trains in 1873.
Okay.
Not only trains, they also robbed stagecoaches, stores, and individuals. They were prejudiced.
Could you imagine being like on a megabus or like a Spirit Airlines flight and then you are getting robbed in the process? Because that's what they're doing when they're robbing these trains. It's just people going about
We're
their
in America,
day.
and I don't know if you want to talk about being robbed on planes here. 9/11 was too close.
Well, one of us remembers it.
Never forget. I'm referencing a video, The History of the World. There's
There's another one?
No, The History of the World, the one that we watched on Patreon.
Yeah.
There's a thing where when they reference 9/11, the narrator is like, I'm sure they'll forget that. And as he's saying that, as the Twin Towers are like coming down, there's an eagle in the background that rises up. Anyway, it's funny. The 9/11, not funny.
I was going to say, what kind of...
Eagle? Pretty funny. That was pretty funny. I don't know. I just love the humor behind representing America, the entirety of America as a single eagle.
A single eagle, because they always look pissed and kind of gassy.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, it's their face.
And with our diet, same.
I know. And their face always kind of turns out. We have a friend who grew up in a different country, who hates all American food, and we love her to death.
So funny.
And she's related very closely to the cinematic universe. She hates all American food and just like doesn't eat cheese. And I'm like, well, then you're missing out on a lot of American food.
That is American food, I think, is just like really processed cheese. Okay, so they're robbing a bunch of people. Tales of the Brothers.
Right. I forget that we keep talking about like a notorious group of criminals.
Yeah. So Tales of the Brothers and their gang are often romanticized and exaggerated to fit like East Coast demand for tales of bloody westerns.
Okay.
And so, to the people living in the Ozarks, Jesse Jones was a romantic figure who was constantly persecuted by the authorities because they never forgave his Southern allegiance during the Civil War. So they're like, he made one bad mistake.
He made one bad mistake that we here in Southern Missouri also all made together.
So how dare you?
And now they hate us.
Yeah. And there is truth to this in that Frank and Jesse did often try to justify their outlaw activities on the grounds that they were constantly being persecuted by authorities. And it's like, I mean.
So they're conservatives.
Yeah. I mean, you made the decision to rob the bank, but like, yeah, sure, you're right. It's because people want to arrest you because you robbed. Like, if you're gonna go that route, that is only catch-22.
I just want to remember this later for when we have a conversation with Danny around grievance politics. I'll be Jesse James.
Try my hardest to not bring up politics around Danny.
It's like one of my my pastimes right now are reading, cooking, running, arguing with Danny.
And I love watching it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just
Do
never.
You know who also loves watching it? Little Griffin, my little brother, absolutely loves it. It's always so funny when he comes to Denver, he gets such an education. He sees someone actually argue with me when it comes to politics, something that never happens at home. Because I'm like amendable to people at home. But when I'm in my element, no, I have thoughts. And then second, we brought him to a gay bar for the first time in his entire life. And it was so funny. He handled himself well. Of course he was popular. But like the next day he goes, it was wild. Not like in a bad way wild, but he was like, it was just wild seeing you in that way because I've never seen you like in that element before.
So funny to me.
I know.
I can't imagine you any other way.
Thank you. And I see your true colors. But we were talking about criminals in Southern Missouri.
Yes. 1874, several big railroad companies hired the Pinkertons to stop the outlaws. The Pinkertons were also maybe hired by the government.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
really
they're drawing double checks.
Probably.
They're double charging insurance.
It's possible.
Cool.
It's not super clear who hired them, if it were more than one people or whatever.
Well, we all know the government in this country and private companies are essentially the same thing. So it's fine.
It's fine. One of the Pinkertons' best operatives, John W. Witcher, was found dead from a bullet wound to the stomach. And brief trigger warning here if like you can't handle gruesome like descriptions, including Grant. Yeah. Then you skip forward like 15 seconds. He was also found his head and shoulders and face had been eaten away by wild hogs.
Oh.
Yeah, it got worse.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah.
They will absolutely do that.
Yep, exactly.
Wild hogs?
Wild hogs.
So they hadn't thrown him in a hog pen or left him out to die in the Texas
He probably bled to
wilderness?
death while also being eaten.
You kind of hope that he goes before the hogs arrive, you know?
Yeah, me too.
I don't have faith in that. You said
I don't either.
Shoulders or full arms?
Head, shoulder, and face.
Oh.
Yep.
Why the shoulder? That's so bony. Okay, anyways.
Yeah, whatever. So Pinkertons found out that the James brothers... because of that, the Pinkertons also wanted revenge on Jesse's gang. And so they were kind of like... Really? You're going to pay us to do something we were already probably maybe going to do?
Oh, we can go commit some human right violations and double charge people?
In the name of someone else?
America!
Yeah. So the Pinkertons are doing their investigating. The James gang is very kind of hard to nail down. They travel all across the West, obviously. The Pinkertons find out that the James brothers often return to their old family farm in Missouri to see their mother and other family. So January 26th, 1875, the Pinkertons made their move on the house. In an effort to flesh out the people inside the house, they threw two flares.
They set it on fire.
They threw two flares through the windows. One of the flares, quote unquote, unexpectedly exploded.
Blew up.
Instantly.
Flares will do that, you know?
Yeah. Another brief trigger warning, skip ahead if you don't want to hear like the consequences of this. This explosion killed their 9-year-old half-brother, Archie Samuel, and blew their mother's right arm, quote, to pieces to a point where it had to be amputated. Yes. And
what?
And the James brothers were also not in the home.
What?
How do you fuck up that bad?
You just blew up a woman and a 9-year-old child?
Like your literal job is being detectives and you didn't sit outside of the house long enough to make sure that the James brothers were in the home?
For every second of my 30 years of life, I have been an American citizen. And I don't know how many times I have to hear this exact story before I stop being shocked by it.
I know.
Maybe it's just personally, and let us know in the comments if this is weird. I confirm the person I want to blow up is what
It's gonna be where it
is where I'm about to blow up.
Yeah.
You know, I just make sure the when and the who are in the where, and then I commit arson.
And then you do the crime. Yeah.
I have oftentimes joked Boy Scouts taught me two things: how to poorly tie a knot and how to easily set fires.
That's so real, though.
Overcook, undercook.
Overcook, undercook. For a while, the Pinkertons denied their involvement in the incident.
What? The family blew up? Oh, what a strange coincidence. We were just passing through town.
Yeah, this was contradicted when a pistol bearing the initials PGG, Pinkerton Government Guard, was found on the property.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just like the attack and mutilation of
it's horrible.
innocent people, horrible. They're like, that wasn't us. Is this your literal gun?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Shit. They claimed at this point that they had thrown the flares in to illuminate the interior of the house so that
with a small house fire in the middle.
So that they could ID the occupants? What? I don't know how to be a detective, but I know this isn't it. Yeah.
I don't want anyone telling me how to do my job, but my job doesn't involve blowing up women and children.
It's true. So they also claimed that when they tossed in the flares, the mother or stepfather must have tossed a flare into the fireplace, which therefore caused the explosion. None of the historians have ever... This is a quote from a historian who's an authority on the Old West. His name is Fred Egloff. This is his quote. None of the historians have ever accepted that version. It was just a big question mark, a mystery. So, like, they knew that the Pinkertons did it, but they never had any, like, physical confirmation.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
are you talking about the, like, flare in the fireplace
yes.
thing? If someone threw fire through my window, I'd also probably put it in a place fire goes.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but, like
when someone leaves a coat, I hang it up, you know?
They can't pin the flare being thrown by the Pinkertons because the James gang theoretically also has a bunch of other enemies.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Okay.
So Egloff and another historian, Yeatman, finally put the dispute to rest according to a 1993 Chicago Tribune article where they uncovered letters from Alan Pinkerton which confirmed the agency's involvement in the raid on what they called, quote, Castle James. This is a quote from the letter. Quote, I hear that the Jameses and the Youngers are another brother group that were involved with the Jameses. They may have had their own kind of gang at some point. Anyway, are desperate men and that when we meet it... Oh, God. I hear that the Jameses and the Youngers are desperate men and that when we meet, it must be the death of one or both of us. There is no use talking. They must die. Above everything, destroy the house to the fringe of the ground. Let the men take no risk. Burn the house down. So... That
was a different gang that said that?
No, that's Alan Pinkerton.
Oh, okay. And then the house burnt down? Oh, okay. I would say that's pretty damning.
Conclusive.
And then there was also one of their guns there.
Yeah.
A equals B equals C.
Yeah.
And then, how you find the hypotenuse of a triangle.
And then even more, though, Egloff also uncovered something interesting, a letter dated December 24th, 1874, which was just over a month before the attack happened. Lieutenant General Philip H. Sheridan, who's a military commander of the Division of Missouri, Sheridan introduces a ranking Pinkerton detective, Robert J. Linden, to the commander of the Arsenal. Linden, quote, wishes to obtain materials to assist him in arresting railroad robbers. Linden then obtained an incendiary substance known as Greek fire.
Ooh.
From the government.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to commit domestic terrorism? Well, you are in luck. We just fought a war and have so much domestic terrorism.
Take it. If you don't know, Greek fire, obviously, I don't know if it was made by the Greeks, it was used by the Greeks. It's famous because it burns on water.
Mm-hmm. I think it was actually made by the Byzantine Empire, which included Turkey, aka Anatolia, and modern-day Greece.
Sure. Cool.
Geography.
Yeah, I don't do that well. So this accident drastically changed the public opinion of the James brothers. If the Pinkertons had succeeded in killing the brothers, that change of public opinion probably wouldn't have happened. It's because they killed a young 9-year-old boy and severely mutilated their mother. So now everyone is like, they're martyrs.
These train robbers are just trying to pay rent. Who is it these days?
Who is it? Inflation is crazy.
You tip your waiter, you rob your local train, you just make it through the day.
That's how you do it.
If you're gonna commit train robbery, I'd rather you do it in Missouri.
Exactly. So the James brothers were eventually brought to justice, not by the Pinkertons, because clearly they can't do their job well.
Right.
James was shot in the back in his home by a brother of a member of his gang. The man who shot him, his name is Robert Ford, and he had been promised immunity for the slaughter by the governor of Missouri. He was in the process.
What?
Jesse James was in the process of hanging a cross stitch of the words "In God We Trust" on his wall when he was shot.
That's like so on the nose that when you watch the movie of it, you're like, oh, well, they took a license there.
Yeah, no, that's like, yeah.
And so someone who Jesse James trusted shot him in the back, and the governor of Missouri was like, good job, gold star, no jail for you.
Yes, he had to go through trial. I think the conditions of the immunity were like, he would go through the trial, found guilty, and then released.
Pardoned.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Robert Ford was then characterized as Judas, largely in part to his portrayal as a, quote, dirty little coward in the folk song Ballad of Jesse James. This song has been recorded through the years by performers like Vernon Dalhard, Pete Seeger, and Bruce Springsteen.
So this is the man who did ultimately kill Jesse James, criminal.
Yes.
And even if he was being persecuted unfairly by the government, it was because he was a Confederate.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, well, that man just never got a fair shake in this world. Anyways,
He
here's
wasn't even
Wonderwall.
a Confederate. He was like, yes, he was on the Confederate side. He was a guerrilla fighter.
Right.
And not the animal.
I was like, say it. James Fleming is waiting for you to say it.
Guerrilla warfare, guerrilla theater, guerrilla fighting. You know, we're all in it.
Can actually go for some guerrilla theater. As long as there's also a dinner served.
Absolutely. Sure. So after his brother's death, Frank James turned himself in. And obviously, the court of public opinion had changed drastically in the favor of the James brothers because he was tried for murder and armed robbery, both in the state of Missouri.
Which he's very clearly guilty of.
And also robbery in Alabama. He was found not guilty for all and walked as a free man and lived a quiet life on his family farm, dying in 1950 in his 70s. 1915, sorry.
It sounds like the Pinkertons weren't very good at their job for the one case they're known for.
Like, they literally turned the tide against themselves.
They're like, we have managed to murder a young boy, mutilate that young boy's mother, and then when
catch the...
Jesse dies, that's not us.
No, that isn't.
But at this point, we have failed so epically that we're going to get the other guy off?
Girl, I don't know. Yeah. Robert Ford, the person who actually killed Jesse James, was shot in Creede, Colorado in 1892 by Edward Capehart O'Kelly, who was viewed as Jesse's avenger.
Did he know Jesse at all?
I think so. I'm not. It wasn't clear.
I love it when Colorado gets referenced, though.
Yep. His sentence was then commuted in 1991 by the governor of Colorado at the time.
1991?
1891.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still alive to get then excused.
That doesn't make sense. He said he was shot in 1892. I may have gotten those dates wrong. I'm sorry. His sentence was commuted at some point.
So both of the men who killed the man who killed the first James brother then is killed himself, and then that man gets off, and the second James brother who wasn't killed also gets off.
Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised that America got Anna Chapman.
I know, right? How did you do this?
We're so good, and because we're getting close to tax season now,
Yeah.
we're so good at policing poor and middle class people who mess up a little bit on their taxes, but are bad at corruption and outright murder, and also holding your law enforcement agencies and justice systems to account.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nuts.
Can I ask? Am I just totally off base about Jesse James? Are there
No.
redeemable qualities about him that you found in your research?
No, not really.
Okay, cool.
I just found out he was like just an old West cowboy.
People are just like, he's so hot and dreamy, and who doesn't love a bad boy?
That's the
Makes me want
vibe
to
I
show my
gathered.
ankles.
I mean, I could be wrong and correct me if there are redeemable qualities. It didn't really seem like there were any. It was just like he's
Okay.
a hot cowboy and he does what he wants. Pow pow pow.
I mean, sometimes
hot.
that's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's good.
So does this story seem like a clusterfuck?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, it does.
Yes, I was browsing Reddit when I found reference to this story, and the historian who wrote about it said, quote, Pinkerton, quote unquote, operatives, as they were called, pursued the James gang, parentheses, it was a fiasco. And
In parentheses, poorly.
yeah, and the Wild Bunch, parentheses, much more successfully. Do you know who was in the Wild Bunch? Because I was then
The
going to
Wild
Google
Bunch
this.
isn't a band of other criminals?
Yeah. I was going to go into it, but I had already done so much.
Like
so I
Billy the
stopped.
Kid or something like
Yeah,
that? Did I get it right?
No.
No.
Robert Leroy Parker, a.k.a. Butch Cassidy.
Oh, and the Sundance Kid.
And the Sundance Kid.
Nice.
Yep. Well, the Sundance Kid is another person.
But it's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yes. Yes.
But a kid singular, not plural.
Kid, yes.
Okay.
So it's
any
Butch-
connection to the now modern Sundance Film Festival?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, I
Do they
did.
operate out of Utah? Okay.
I think it's the Old West. It's another thing where like they don't have a home base.
Sure.
The other people that were notably in the Wild Bunch: Peter Leroy Parker, Butch Cassidy, Kid Curry, Elsie Lay, Larry Longabout, who is the Sundance Kid, Ben the Tall Texan Kilpatrick, George Sutherland Flat Nose, Will Carver, and then O.C. Camilla Hanks.
Can I? Okay. I know I just keep interrupting every 90
you're good.
seconds. I'm having a great time.
That's the end of the first little story.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Not of the Pinkertons. It's the first story about the Pinkertons.
And Pinkertons are part one of the two-parters.
Yes, there's some more stuff.
Okay.
about the Pinkertons.
Sorry, you just said it was like one of the early episodes. And I was like, oh, so I can just talk whatever I want about like corruption in America and our inability to get a lot of things right.
I mean, true.
You listed a bunch of people there, and a lot of them have nicknames.
Oh, yeah.
So we're trying to start a tradition on the speech and debate team about giving every competitor like a nickname before they go to the... Thank you. I full on stole it from a different team. They're
That's so
aware.
cool, though.
They're aware that I'm stealing the idea from them. They're like helping me understand it.
That would make me so happy.
Teachers who are listening, that's the secret to all of this. I almost never have my own good ideas.
No, it's fine.
I just then implement good ideas. So I had to go to those coaches today, the ones who originally came up
Yeah.
with it, and be like, super excited to start rolling this out this month because state is next month. How do you do it in a way to make sure no one's feelings get hurt? Right?
so real.
Like, how is it not Maya, the ringer, Warner, and Grant falls on his face, Thomas? You know, how does someone not get like, you know, the assassin Casey?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
There for a good time.
right, not there for a good time. Probably showed up late anyways. Grant. They told me some logistic
really
stuff, and I
accurate.
remember he being like, interesting. My program's not set up that way, so we can't logistically pull it off that way. So I'll just think of it on my own,
Oh!
and that's fine.
In-
That's good, actually. That's good. That's good.
In high school, I was president of one of my choirs my senior year, and
Nice.
I don't know if I told you this. I made a lot of egg puns in some of my emails out to the
At
the
no
choir.
point have you shared this lore,
Okay,
this
perfect.
backstory.
And
For some
I,
reason, I imagine you as a kid in the 80s, like huge frizzy hair and braces,
Yeah.
but
I was just like
think that was
giggling
you.
to myself while writing this like crazy email, and it was like I was also like very not like overbearing but like caring of them, especially like during like midterms and final seasons of like, let me know if you need anything.
I'm
Like,
an empath.
Yeah, like if you need coffee, I will bring you coffee. You need snacks, I will bring you snacks, and that kind of stuff. And so they nicknamed me Mama Egg.
Oh, that's kind of
It was
fun.
really cute. And so I got called Mama Egg. They were all my omelets, and
Live with me and every one of you.
and they photoshopped like a picture of my face from junior prom into the yolk of an egg, and then put like a little caption underneath it that says "excellent."
That's like the most endearing thing young people can ever do. It's like, here, I took your image and distorted it. And it's like, oh, you love me?
Meanwhile, my other friend Lottie, who's been on the podcast, right, photoshopped my face. I used to take selfies from like down here as like a
Intentionally?
joke. Yeah,
Okay.
like with a double chin. You know, she she photoshopped that picture of me onto the like fat caterpillar from A Bug's Life.
I'm a beautiful butterfly. Why was he German?
And yeah, so, you know, friends, love. Lottie was also in that choir. I think she maybe thought I needed to get taken down a notch.
Do you know what my nickname was in high school? I didn't have one.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this...
Other than egg. Mama
yeah,
egg.
and like my senior year.
The kids now at school call me Mama Thomas, which I think is
really
very
cute.
sweet. Oh, it's like super endearing.
Yeah, that's really cute. I love that.
I do too.
Grant's over here misty-eyed.
Anyways, none of them
Yes.
are currently nicknamed after criminals. And that all changes tonight, folks.
I don't know. You could call someone a tall Texan. That's not...
And call someone a Texan? I think I'd rather swear in front of the kids.
I'm going to call tall Coloradan.
Have you ever met, no, you haven't seen, that's a weird thing. You haven't like met my students. You haven't been at a debate tournament
No.
where I'm like, these are my students.
No.
I wouldn't use the word tall.
All right,
They're
fair enough.
young. They're young people. It's not even an insult. They
Yeah.
are just young.
They're just young. Okay, anyway, back in the 1800s,
Right. We were murdering people.
we were
so
murdering
sorry.
people, and those people had nicknames, and, you know, it's a whole... The
And
cycle,
soon,
the
my
cycle
beautiful
of
young
life.
people will also have nicknames, much like their criminal forefathers.
Hey! So following Alan Pinkerton's death...
Sorry, go ahead.
So Alan Pinkerton, the original founder of the
Right,
Pinkertons.
he dies. Okay.
Yeah, he dies in 18...
A-L-L-A-N.
Yes. It feels... My
Ayan.
dad's name is Alan, and it's A-L-A-N, and he very frequently...
Right.
And his middle name is also a first name, and so he'll get called by his first name, or like male when he had addressed to his first name. He's like, I don't know who this is. But his name is spelled A-L-A-N, and they always call him A-L-L-E-N.
My middle name is A-L-L-E-N. It's in my Instagram handle.
What?
I know. Sorry, I just felt like, okay, I'll climb the ladder with you. It's an acting technique. Anyways, for 2 months, I had a boss who signed my checks, because it was a very small company, who just signed my checks to Grant Allen, because that's what I was on Facebook, because I was already student teaching and didn't want to be able to be found on
Right.
Facebook, so I wasn't using my last name. Wells Fargo absolutely cashed it. Just like, let it on through. Let it on through.
I agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't... Checks, I'm still confused by them. Like,
Have
I
you
get
s-
it, but no.
Have you seen that SNL sketch about checks?
We have a lot of things to
I
watch
have to show
today.
you. There's a lot of, maybe we'll take a little halftime,
Yeah.
and I have 2 different SNL things to send
Okay,
you. One of them
perfect.
is now checks.
Perfect. Anyway, Alan Pinkerton dies in 1884.
Right, they keep death, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
He's gone. So his son takes up the company, the helm of the company, and begins to focus the agency's actions on not railroad like robberies, but action or
Securities fraud.
labor disputes. Jesus Christ. I can't
Oh,
talk.
hold on. But are the Pinkertons on the wrong side of those labor disputes?
We'll find out.
I bet they're on the wrong side of
I'll
those
bet-
labor
I'll-
disputes.
I mean, we'll find out.
They were the bumbling heroes of the first story, and I'm increasingly worried that's as good as it gets for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is one of their most famous labor disputes that they were a part of. It was the Homestead Strike.
Okay.
I just have to wait
Yikes.
after every time I mention something historical just to see if Grant's gonna like. Did you see how quickly he came in with the Abraham Lincoln thing? Like
I was
2
like,
seconds into the story.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let me talk to you
So-
about the geopolitics of Maryland in 1861. So it's fascinating.
And I was like, this has nothing to do with the story. Shut up. So the Homestead Strike was a dispute between Carnegie Steel Metal and its workers, and it happened on July 6th, 1982. And if you heard Carnegie, yes, that Carnegie. Carnegie Hall, the conglomerate.
Carnegie Mellon
yeah.
University,
Yeah, exactly.
famous for their melons and their university.
Being a Carnegie. It occurred in Homestead, Pennsylvania at the Homestead Steel Mill. Andrew Carnegie, an American industrialist, and his manager for this mill, Henry Clay Frick. It sounds like some of the sources said that he had hired Frick kind of because he saw these labor disputes coming. But anyway, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Clay Frick, the replacement workers, and the Pinkertons
Right.
against the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers. So yes, the
Yeah,
Pinkertons.
the union. It's them versus the union.
Yeah, Pinkertons against the union. So I don't know. You decide if they're on the wrong side of history or not.
I will. They
Yeah.
are on the wrong
Yep.
side of
Okay.
history. They're like, let's beat these people who don't want to work in dangerous conditions so that way scabs can come through and work in these dangerous conditions. Amazing that the company that was double cashing checks to not solve the Jesse James crime would then also be like, get your children in this workhouse. Beat.
Yeah.
America does it way more subtly these days. Way more subtly.
We're really quiet about it. Over the course of the 1880s, many unions were broken up at other mills and plants, but by 1892, many of the Homestead mill workers were still represented by the union. Around 3,000 non-union workers, who were mostly Eastern and Southern European immigrants and their sons, it seems like, still supported the union. The existing union contract between the mill and the union was set to expire on July 1st, 1892. Carnegie does not want to renegotiate this contract.
Right.
They never do.
Right.
And he tasks Henry Clay Frick, his operations manager, with breaking up the union ahead of that deadline.
Right.
And so Frick's tactic, he tries to negotiate for a while, isn't super successful, so now he's gone on to threatening them.
Right.
And he does that by cutting their wages. Which seems like it's not
I
gonna
know
work.
you're desperate, and that's why you joined a union and are insisting on me having a stronger contract
Yeah,
next time
I'm
around.
gonna pay you less.
If I made your life even more tenuous, what's that going to do for you?
You gonna leave the union now, babes?
I don't know if
Yeah.
you have worked at a company that has gone through this, and I'm sorry if this is triggering for those of you who are listening who have. But sometimes companies will hire consultants to figure out how to, quote, best retain talent. And they'll come up with a whole list of options. And almost never is it just pay us more.
Yes.
And instead we spend
Pizza party.
thousands of dollars on this consultant
Yes.
to tell us that we don't need to get paid more. And a lot of me is like, that money that you paid that consultant would go a
have-
long way to paying
Your
us more.
workers.
I don't want a free breakfast that you picked up at 6:15 a.m. on a teacher PD day. I want to be able to afford a vacation, which we
That's so
do. I
real.
mean, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say that I have the worst. I want to de-escalate before I climb this ladder, but you know what I'm trying to say.
So in late June, reminder, the contract ends July 1st. In late June, he locks the workers out and builds a barbed wire fence around the plant. The workers then start referring to the mill as, quote, Fort Frick, which is pretty funny.
That's good.
Yeah. July 2nd, the day after the contract expires, he fires everybody. All the union workers, at least.
Okay.
Wee hours of July 6th, 1892, 300 Pinkerton agents hired by Frick plan to travel up the river in covered barges to then occupy the plant. This is a prelude to replacing them with non-union laborers, aka scabs. Thousands of workers and their families then storm the plant.
Right.
They had kind of heard about this. The Pinkertons don't, it seems like, get into the plant. They kind of get
Yeah, there's all this convenient barbed wire that they're about to use.
yeah, they get met, or the Pinkertons kind of get met at the pier where they're docking. And
Right.
so a shot was fired, and it, like so many things, it's not clear who fired first, if it was an accident or whatever.
Was it the people who wanted a living wage or the people who would rather see them die? Who shot the first shot?
Oops.
Sorry, am I mischaracterizing this
No,
exchange
you're-
right
no,
now?
you're absolutely fucking right.
Yeah, no, yeah, allegedly. Yeah, okay.
At least, oh yeah, okay, so the shots were fired, and this began 12 hours of fighting.
Oh, fuck.
Yes. In the afternoon, the workers were supported by reinforcements of 5,000 more people from nearby mills.
Okay.
And this resulted in the Pinkertons waving their little white flag and being like, fuck, 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 fuck,
Right.
fuck. Because there's 300 of them, and
Right.
there are already thousands of mill workers, and now they're adding 5,000 more.
Right.
Girl, you fucked. So the Pinkertons surrendered and were led off the barges to the local jail for protection. And I did see a source that they were led to the local opera house, which was being used as a makeshift jail.
Nice.
That's really funny to me.
But for men or for women?
Yes.
I'm talking about Mary
Yes.
Shelley right
Yeah,
now? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So 2 Pinkertons were clubbed into unconsciousness by strikers after their surrender.
Okay.
So
Still a good ratio if
It's
all
still-
300 of you get out of there and 2 of you just kind of knocked
so
out.
in total, at least 3 Pinkertons and 7 workers were killed during the battle and the aftermath. Workers then take control of the steel mill, but this does not last long. Frick asks for help from the Pennsylvania governor, Robert Emory Pattison, who sends in 8,500 soldiers from the National Guard on July 7th. There's another source that said it was only 4,000. Either way, a fuck ton.
It's a lot of trained soldiers
now. A lot of actually trained soldiers,
right.
not Pinkertons. Pattison had been supported in his election efforts to office. He was supported by pro-Carnegie political machines. So,
what?
Yeah, it's
He's influenced by money and politics? Would no one alert the Supreme Court?
No.
Oh, political today. Sorry.
No,
it's been a while since we've done one of these kind of episodes where I'm like,
this part
yes, America isn't good right now.
No. Yeah. And there's some sources that say he actually didn't really want to get the military involved, but then because of these affiliations, he felt like he had to.
Either that or they'll fund the other candidate to defeat him.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank good we don't have that issue
No,
anymore.
that never happens anymore at all. So the plant was then turned over to the militiamen on July 12th, 6 days after.
The National Guards.
Yes,
Yeah.
The National Guards. July 15th, the plant was operational with scabs. Public favor was in favor of the steel mill workers until there was an assassination attempt made on Frick on July 23rd, and then it kind of switches back to
Frick as in the owner
operation
of
manager.
Okay.
Yeah. This assassination attempt was made by anarchist Alexander Berkman, who was not associated with the Union, and little Easter egg, he would later become a close associate of Emma Goldman, the anarchist that I talked about almost being my story for Anna Chapman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
I know.
Well, good for them.
I was like, wow.
What a fun circle of friends to run in.
Good job getting public opinion away from the people that wanted more money. That's really cool.
Listen, I know they're a sympathetic cause, and it's almost impossible to turn public opinion against them. But what if I murdered a different working man? Would that do the trick? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then the Union maybe does some questionable things. The Union bars African Americans.
By questionable, we just mean racist.
Yeah, racist,
Okay.
racist. And therefore, many strike breakers were African Americans. These African Americans had left the rural South,
Right.
and the steel mill was a great alternative for them. They don't
During
have
the
a
Great
ton of
Migration.
options. Yeah. November 1892, the strike escalated again in a riot between white workers and African American workers. By November 21st, the union gave up and reapplied for jobs and agreed to worse conditions than it started with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, they agreed to 12-hour shifts and reduced wages.
What? Mm-hmm. We've made a lot of jokes. I've made a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
There are times where you're like, wow, it was like...
It was bad.
Like, there's just times where it's just been like, it's sad, I think is maybe
it's
the word.
sad.
I'm like almost at a loss of words that
It's-
they're asking for is like time to see their family and money to afford things. And I know like that's a lot of what we're asking for now.
Yeah.
And like violence from the state was brought down upon them. And like as a final humiliation, they're like, you'll work longer and for less money.
Yep. Yeah,
And
it's
it's
rough.
I mean, I don't believe in economics, but like all of it is just to like enrich a few wealthy steel magnates and not whatever.
Andrew Carnegie this whole time was in Scotland.
Like if he owned all the stores in town
Yeah.
and raised then their wages, he'd get all of that money back again and there'd be increased economic opportunity. Whatever.
It's fine.
I don't believe in economics.
Economics isn't real. Money's not real. Time's not real. It's a whole thing. Yeah, so that was fun. Another instance where the Pinkertons didn't help, but
Is
it's
this
like...
entire episode just like Pinkertons fail reel? Are we Barstool Sports right now
I
for
mean,
the
those
Pinkertons?
are the two stories I cover for the Pinkertons, and they don't make them look good. So,
I
yeah.
loved both of them. I do want you to
Yeah,
know that.
they're
It's funny
good.
that I was the first one to cover the Pinkertons hair toss with the sheet birders. The death glare Maya is giving me right now that says more than just you shut up. It is a threat of physical violence.
I'm too tired for that.
What am I, a striking steel mill
I'll
worker?
just hire a Pinkerton to do it for me.
Okay, so I'm not in any real danger.
Yeah, like mixed success rate. I don't know. So you might be asking yourself, how the fuck is this legal?
Right.
Right? Like they're acting on behalf of the government. They're also like being kind of brought in as like a militia,
Right.
almost in a lot of scenarios.
And
So
you're just letting a private company wage active, let's not say war, but like active violence against its strikers.
yes, exactly.
Like when Disney Studios cut the branches of the trees that the writer strike was happening under, everyone was like, how dare you touch trees in this situation?
Yes.
Meanwhile, they're like, some of you may die, and that's a
And
message
that's-
I'm willing to send. Like...
Okay, Lord Farquaad. So yes, how is this legal? Typically, to answer your question, Pinkerton men were sworn in as deputies by local sheriffs and then used as special police and federal marshals, and that's how it's
Is
legal.
that still a system that we have?
We'll talk about it.
Listen, for my birthday, not this one, but one of them, I want someone to deputize me as a deputy so I can drive my Subaru Crosstrek as fast as I want on an abandoned stretch of road, and then I'll turn my badge and gun back in, because I assume you get a badge and gun. I'll turn my badge and gun back in.
As a disgraced officer,
Okay, I don't care.
need to have a
I gotta
speech,
hit
though.
120.
you
That's
have to have a speech when you give the badge and gun back. No?
4 and 7 minutes ago,
I've always tried to do right by this country.
Exactly. Anyways, I burned a lot of gas, and the child mentioned a check. How
Okay.
dare they?
So at this point, especially after the Homestead Strike, people are kind of like, what? Why were the Pinkertons involved?
Right.
And why were they also not successful? So investigations by the House and Senate following the Homestead Strike revealed that many Pinkertons are often untrained, ineffective, and misled by employers as to where they're being sent and the nature of their tasks. So not only are they not good at their job, they're like actually not good at their job. Like,
The son is like, we are gathered here today not to investigate the unnecessary use of force, but to make sure this economy runs the way it's supposed to.
and so Congress passes the Anti-Pinkerton Act
Ooh,
in
fun.
1893, which limits the federal government's ability to hire PIs and mercenaries.
The only thing they do is stop buying from them.
They're like, okay, like they can exist, right? But like, let's not give them our money. It's like your mom saying we have food at home.
We have
Like,
Pinkerton money at home.
yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
We have 7 different government agencies that can threaten violence and poorly investigate
Exactly.
something.
So-
we don't need to hire an 8th.
Specifically, this act, the Anti-Pinkerton Act, was passed due to concerns over hiring them as a quasi-military armed forces in the context of strike breaking. They didn't
Right.
want that happening anymore.
They prefer their militaries full militaries, not quasis.
Yeah, exactly. So, assorted facts. The Pinkertons are considered to be the front runner or the forerunner of the United States Secret Service.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, with their Lincoln mission, that makes sense.
Yeah, because now that with the Anti-Pinkerton Act, the president can't hire their own personal detail.
And now
and
we're
so,
talking about John Wilkes Booth again. Hell yeah.
Or not.
I hate it here.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you it's not. Okay, so Alan Pinkerton often referred to himself as the, quote, chief of the United States Secret Service long before it existed. So it's thought that he might even have coined the term.
Oh.
Yeah. The Pinkerton, I mentioned this earlier, the Pinkerton Detective Agency's logo is an eye. This was the inspiration.
Pause. I'm sorry, pause. There is nothing better than being infamous for using the phrase secret service. You cannot be infamous for a service that is secret. Those 3 words, you get 2 of them. You know?
For our non-U.S. friends, the Secret Service is now the security detail, the like
Right.
ultra highly trained whatever that protects our president.
Here's one of my favorite little pop trivia questions. Which bureau, cabinet position, or division of the U.S. federal government does the Secret Service belong to?
Executive?
So it protects the executive.
Yeah.
But it's not its own branch of the military
No, it's
or anything.
not, yeah.
So it's housed in one of our governmental departments. Do you know which one it is?
No.
The U.S. Treasury.
Why?
I don't know.
Because they're paying them.
I guess, but we don't house anything else under the Treasury
really
for that
funny.
reason. Yeah, the U.S. Treasury Secretary has 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Their signature goes on every dollar bill we have ever printed, and the Secret Service.
Have you
also sometimes like bailing out banks for reckless decisions instead of
that's
average
fine,
Americans?
Right? Like
but,
that's totally cool.
yeah,
Have
absolutely.
you ever been with a friend group that's played Secret Service?
I was so unsure as to when that sentence was going to end. No.
I don't know if it's
not.
called Secret Service or like Protect the President.
Nope.
Oh, it was like mostly frat boys that would play it, and then I would accidentally get drawn in by being in the room.
No, I oftentimes hung out with them after they had left all their friends.
No. Yeah. That's good.
That's
really good.
You got it or you did not get
That's
it,
good.
and now you're kind of weirdly Googling something on your phone.
So that game is if you're like with a group of people, someone starts it and they put their hand to their ear as if they're like answering like a mic or something. The Secret Service kind of are known for having these like the mics
Right.
kind of coiled behind their ear, and then they have an earpiece. You put like a finger to your ear, and as soon as everyone has done it but one person, you all shout, "Protect the president," and all tackle him. There's no winner or loser.
That's so fun.
No.
Are we too old to do that, or can we do that now?
I'll do that.
Hell yeah.
I've done it before.
We
on
have to do it
accident.
before this episode gets published.
That's fine.
Which is actually a lot sooner than what we're used to.
I just want to tackle Jacob. I think that'd be funny.
Here's the thing. He can wrestle. He absolutely
maybe
can
Lydia.
wrestle. But sometimes I will find something he says super funny, and you've experienced this,
Yeah.
where I'll just
Punch.
kind of, just like a good solid upper arm shoulder, like, golly, man, like that was funny. And sometimes I don't know my own strength.
And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Jacob bruises like a peach, and I sometimes act like a Hulk. Anyways,
Lydia's like, "Will you stop domestically abusing my husband?"
I have tasks for him to do.
Okay, back to the.
Sorry.
Oh, you have one more thing.
secret thing. Of course I have. A
secret?
Secret Service thing.
Is it infamous?
That was my joke. If people who also use the little like
earpiece.
earbud
Yeah.
in the ear have to hold it to like hear it more clearly. School administrators.
I love
the
that.
amount of go ahead and ask me if there's more paper in the printing room.
Is there more paper?
Sorry, 1 second, Miss Warner. I gotta go. As like their keys as they run down the hallway.
I used to do that when I worked at the Gap. We had those earpieces, and I would always like, nowadays when you have like an AirPod in,
Yes.
you're like just talking to nothing. That's what I was doing. We would like joke with each other over the earpieces. So I'd be folding laundry, like kind of giggling, and like a mom and her kid would come in looking for like a school uniform, and I'd just be like,
Years later, she'd start a podcast.
"Ha ha ha! Who would have thought?"
I love this. I love all these little interactions. Principals who are doing that, they're doing their job, and I
Yeah.
think that's great. I taught the kids recently and they were roommates little
yeah.
speech. I told you that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Anyway.
So someone was dead or alive? What was going on?
Now we're just kind of in the like wrap up for the Pinkertons. We're going to talk about little assorted facts. So I told you that they're the forerunner for the Secret Service. We talked about how their logo is an eye, and so they're the inspiration for the term private eye. They're still around today. They also hired the nation's first female detective, Kate Warren, who was the one that protected Lincoln on that train, and Lincoln posed as her
nice.
invalid brother. She was hired in 1856. She was a 23-year-old widow. She convinced Alan Pinkerton by telling him that she could, quote, worm out secrets in many places to which it was impossible for male detectives to gain access.
So she would talk to women.
And kind of pose or like go to like strip clubs or that kind of thing and get information out of men like that. One time she busted a thief by cozying up to his wife, who revealed the location of all the stolen goods. Yeah, hilarious.
We just love to gossip.
We're just the girlies, It was she got a suspect to feed her crucial information by disguising herself as a fortune teller and like reading his fortune, whatever.
I'm just seeing all of our storylines. Houdini, like I'm seeing everything
all of the
collapse in on itself.
exactly.
We've really covered this century.
So you think that, and then you just always
And
see
then you
more.
just always
Yeah,
more. No,
exactly.
I know.
In 1868, when she died, she was so close to the Pinkerton family at that point, she was buried in their plot, and she didn't have any other family. So that would,
Oh, wait.
because she was a widow.
kind of moved a little bit.
I know. Isn't that very sweet?
She lived a life.
She did.
She was also a Pinkerton, but she lived a life.
Yeah. The Pinkertons also spied for the Union Army during the Civil War.
Okay.
So, like, a single redeeming quality.
Yeah.
The Pinkertons created one of the world's first or earliest criminal databases, which obviously now we have many. At one point, they were larger than the U.S. Army.
Oh. Oh, fun. Okay.
In 2016, Vanity Fair reported that the Pinkertons charge around $85 to $125 an hour for protection services. You can still hire them if you want.
Interesting.
A lot of celebrities, it sounds like, employ the Pinkertons or other like agencies for their own personal protection details.
Like to get like a name brand protection agency, or just because they're like a solid business?
Like Kim Kardashian. I think this article was prompted by when Kim Kardashian got that scary robbery in Paris.
My question is, are they just like industry standard, or is it like I want a name brand protection
I have
agency?
no. I think there's just a lot of protection agencies. They're just one of the old ones. They're also not technically owned by like the brand name Pinkerton. They're owned by another security firm, I think. And so I'm gonna do the transition, and then we'll take a little break.
I would love a bit of a Nespresso.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the Pinkertons are good and bad, right? Like arguably, they don't really have a strong
They're guns
moral
for
compass.
hire, which means they end up on the wrong side of some causes.
They're literally
sometimes.
rent-a-cops.
Correct.
Yeah.
Paul Blart.
Yes. At the time, they're seen as the law, but their actions show the disorder in the execution of their tasks. Right.
The disorder. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
That's what I said. I said disorder.
Okay, go ahead. All I heard was the law.
Disorder, yeah. The action... Bowser. Show the disorder of the execution of their tasks. Modern day, if you take money out of the equation, the Pinkertons might be seen as vigilantes.
Right.
Kind of, if they're not being like hired for anything, right? They're citizens taking the law into their own hands.
It's that gray area where the government would like something done, but feels bound by the Constitution to like not assassinate children.
Exactly. So this theme is twofold, and thus the story is twofold.
Yeah.
The Pinkertons were seen as the law, but acted disorderly and often not in line with the general public's moral compass. So do you have any guesses what the next topic will be? Maybe an example of a person or group who is seen as chaos, but tends to act in the direction of a moral compass?
Unions. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. My own classroom.
The answer is no? Good. And with that,
coffee time?
We'll be back.
All right. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
You can take the bowl with you. I should.
I mean, we can also start recording. You just have to not talk. Okay.
Snack's okay. You know
Snack's
that,
okay.
Right?
It's just talking is where it gets frustrating.
You're what, 24?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to snack on everything in 6 years like you can now. You know that Moira Rose advice? Take as many
naked pictures of yourself now.
I'm not even joking.
You might think that you're
too old, or no one wants to see these scary boobies. But you will look back on them in years with tender eyes. So for you, any meat and dairy, as much as you want, okay? Because it ends, my friend. It ends.
If you ever become lactose intolerant,
my dad lactose intolerant.
I can't eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
It's not a genetic thing. It's
Absolutely.
It's 100% a genetics thing.
Motherfucker, if you stop eating dairy, you will become lactose intolerant.
I was lactose intolerant way before I stopped eating dairy.
Humans
briefly.
are lactose intolerant.
Right.
You just gotta keep fucking eating it, bro.
I love you.
Google it.
I remember having the exact same thought when I was 25, and then one day when I was 26,
if I become lactose intolerant, I want you to know this podcast ends because I die. I die.
No, you just learned that life is pain,
I will
like
die.
I did a little bit at 30.
Neither of my parents are lactose intolerant, so if it is genetic, I think I'm okay.
When I was 26 or 27, I had a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream that hurt so bad I almost went to an urgent care. And I have not had Ben & Jerry's since then. Do you know what I eat now? Sorbet or a gin and tonic, which is an okay trade-off, but it's not Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I just can't get sad anymore.
Both genetic and non-genetic causes.
I never disagreed with that.
Just because your dad has it doesn't mean it's genetic.
I love how superior we all sound when it says you're both right. We're all like,
I'm just saying, it's not just genetic.
You can develop it. I'm never arguing that. But it is.
Yeah.
Also,
most of my friends that are lactose intolerant developed it.
The positive thing too is that it is really just So hard cheese has almost no lactose in it.
Mm-hmm.
So hard cheese is always going to remain an option for you. A solid Parmesan.
Don't bring me into this. I will not even acknowledge lactose intolerance becoming a part of my life. I refuse.
Which is so funny, and this is both, I think, an insult and a compliment at the same time. You just seem so natural and comfortable with the. I thought you were on Do Not Disturb. With the concept of aging, and so for you to be like, I will never change on this.
Cheese is the one thing I will not fuck around with. Don't at me.
I won't at you, but I will, on your 28th birthday, slide under the table a Lactaid pill that I got from Lydia, who has all my Lactaid pills, and be like, welcome.
I will kill you.
Listen, life's about just slowly collecting a few more medications to hold off
I already have too many.
To hold off the eventual lifestyle changes you probably should be making.
I already have 4, and that's not even vitamins. That's just mental health,
Lactaid's
baby.
not an everyday thing. You shouldn't be chewing it like vitamins. And if you are, I want to know how much dairy you're having.
I have a significant amount of dairy. Okay, anyway, we're coming back to the story.
Of Pinkertons, right.
Pinkertons, we just transitioned a little bit. We're thinking about maybe what the modern day Pinkerton might be if money weren't involved. Who's our modern day vigilante?
Okay, who's our modern day vigilante? I have a couple reactions.
Okay.
I'm like, is this like a DC Marvel thing? Okay.
Is it?
Second, it's like, is this those videos on the internet of like Karens getting called out for things?
No.
Because the people who record those are our modern day vigilantes.
That's really true.
But like in a positive way. And then like, I guess there's like kind of sometimes like internet vigilantes, like anonymous and stuff, but I don't really actually know I don't know anything about anything.
Okay, well, we're going to start with a story, and then the topic will reveal itself.
Okay. You know how much I love guessing.
I know.
I still, driving home from last episode, I was like, Anna Chapman. I didn't even read those articles. I just saw the headline.
Okay, so this is, I was watching a documentary on, the documentary is called, I'm actually not going to tell you that yet.
Okay.
We're going to start with Hunter Moore. Does that name ring any bells? Perfect.
Morse?
Moore. His great grandfather was the second cousin 3 times removed of the great grandfather.
You know how when you're full but the food tastes good, so you have a little bit more? That was his family.
Yeah. That's really funny.
It's not. That's so dumb. That doesn't mean anything.
No, but like, that's the family.
Them. That's, I mean, it was like, I think a sister or something. But yeah, no one knows that story really.
Okay, anyway, Hunter Moore. 2010. We're in 2010.
I'm not even laughing at the joke anymore. I'm laughing at how much we shared collectively love for that dumb joke.
It was a stupid joke, but I loved it.
Sorry, we were in 2010.
We're in 2010. A man named Hunter Moore founds a website called isanyoneup.com.
Okay.
Is that ringing any bells?
Wait, hold on. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is the second chapter about online detectives helping solve things?
No.
Okay.
That is a good idea, though.
Thank
I have
you.
several of those cases.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Honestly, sometimes there's topics I don't even really consider touching because I'm like, Maya's going to know about it or have already planned to do it and will be low levels mad at me if I don't do it as well as she would.
If you touch a single serial killer.
Gays, women, Britney Spears, history, those are my topics.
Just kidding. I would
Murder,
love if
investigation, crime, that's you.
You saw me during the Sheedy trial. Like,
You
I'm
were
really
so
excited.
happy.
Yeah, you could cover true crime anytime you want. I've just watched a lot of those documentaries already.
It made you happy, but what's truer to my soul was the Agatha Christie episode,
I
which
did
is one of
love that
my
episode.
top 3 favorite episodes.
I do love
Anyway.
that.
Pastor was like, don't think it was your best work, but you followed it up with James Fleming, so Ian Fleming. Yikes.
Okay, so Hunter Moore, isanyoneup.com.
Right.
This website, it started in kind of the scene community. I get the impression it was California, but that could be way
Hell
fucking off.
yeah.
Yeah, the scene community. People would submit their own photos to this website, and it would include their names and professions and links to their social media accounts. These photos were all X-rated.
Oh, okay. you would submit your own photo, in theory, of yourself.
In theory of yourself.
Because I'm guessing the profile name is one that you created and isn't titled like a Facebook account or something.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
The documentary that I watched did interview a guy who was an early person that was shown on Is Anyone Up? He was a big member of the Seed community. And he said that when it first started, it was like something that people were checking every day just to see like who would show up on it, because
Sure.
most of it was like a tight kind of knit community.
Sure.
Until one day he left his phone at a bar with his friend while he went to the bathroom, and when he came back, his friend was like, I submitted those nudes I found on your phone to isanyoneup.com, and there's no real way for him then to get it taken down.
Or not screenshotted, saved,
Yep.
downloaded, sent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
This began in the scene community.
Who does that?
Hunter Moore does. Babes?
He was the friend that uploaded
Oh,
those
no,
photos?
no. I don't know
I
who
mean,
the
here's the
friend
thing.
was.
While I think that's like, I don't know. There's a lot of like stuff around like the website Hunter Moore created. From just what I've learned so far, my first like a gasp is like, who just sees their friends' nudes and be like, I better upload these to the internet?
That's fucked up. Like, I think the impression was that the people who were not on it kind of perceived it as a joke. Like, it was funny until he, like, even the guy who was interviewed was like, I thought it was kind of hilarious until my own nudes were on there. And then I became the topic of conversation.
Right.
And then it's not funny anymore. Yeah, so it kind of started with photos that were sent involuntarily, right? Parentheses, well, kind of. Then it began accepting anonymous submissions, which then morphed into, if you have kids in the car, maybe, I don't know.
This is the part they skip forward in.
Yeah, maybe really, at least for the next couple seconds. This morphed into revenge porn.
Yeah, of course it did.
Where people would vindictively send in nudes of exes to this website, and they would then be Hunter Moore and the people that were big on it. His followers were dubbed themselves the family.
Yeah.
They would kind of encourage cyberbullying on these people.
Of the naked people who are having their photos often posted against their consent or without it.
Yeah, because their exes are submitting it, and then it's posted, like, you get your own page,
And why is Hunter Moore encouraging people to do that just for, like, to drive page views and stuff?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so this is where, for Hunter Moore, this is where a troubling twist comes in. Her name is Charlotte Laws. She's actually a former politician, actress, author, talk show host, animal rights advocate, former BBC contributor. Like, she was actually famous at this point.
Also, that's a huge resume.
And I think, from my understanding, all of those things came before this.
Okay.
And she was pretty prominently featured in this Netflix docuseries, so now she's getting a bunch more media attention. But Charlotte's daughter, Kayla Laws, finds her own nudes on the website. Only she never submitted them to the website, obviously. She also never sent them to anyone, an ex or anyone. The only time it was ever sent or received was when she emailed them to herself in an effort to get storage on her phone.
Oh.
Because remember, this is 2010. Like, storage is not like you can get a 2 terabyte iPhone anymore.
Right.
Like, you're pretty frequently deleting photos off of your phone. So she had emailed them to her. She was having like a nice night where she was like kind of practicing self-love, the way she described it. She was taking selfies, and then all of a sudden she's Moira Rosing it.
Right.
She's like,
I kind of like how like
take
the lighting,
a lot of
I look
pictures of
cute.
yourself nude
Yes.
now. It's like a self, I don't know, like to boost her own ego. Charlotte. So Kayla almost immediately goes to her mother. Charlotte Laws goes full motherfucking mama bear on this bitch. She starts monitoring the website, and, well, obviously they contact Hunter Moore, try to get it taken down.
Can you run me through these names again?
So,
Kayla and Charlotte, who are these women again?
Charlotte Laws is the one with the crazy resume that was already famous.
Right, insanely cool.
Her daughter, Kayla, is the one
so
who's
it's
nudes.
mother-daughter.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Hunter Moore is the website owner.
How old is Kayla in this story?
Couldn't tell you. I think she was an adult.
Okay.
At least, yeah.
Over 18, but
yes.
still young.
Still young, for sure. Like, definitely not a comfortable position for anyone to be in.
Right.
So Charlotte she's worked with Kayla to contact Hunter on several platforms to try and get him to take it down. They either get no response or they get like basically no as an answer. Like, however this happened, it's your daughter's fault anyway.
For taking the photo.
Yeah, this is kind of, I remember this kind of
the
era.
definition of victim blame.
Yeah, I remember this era of like people being like, well, don't take nude photos if you don't want them on the website. Like, this is how this started.
Right.
Of like that mindset.
I remember in schools, we would message to kids if you take a photo of yourself and then send it, you have trafficked child pornography,
Yeah.
even if it's of yourself.
Yeah.
And if the receiver then saves it, then they like hold on to it, and like legally you're in this dubious area.
Copyright laws are really weird.
Right.
Yeah.
I would. That didn't feel, at least at the time as an educator, victim blamey. It felt very much like we're trying to protect you.
But it's still like,
Right.
this is where that came from because
Okay.
like, yeah. So Charlotte begins monitoring the website and contacting new victims to get their story after like offering them help in any way she can, right? So she finds out that over 40% of the nudes posted on the site, the subjects of those photos, obviously mostly women, there are men featured on the website
Sure.
too. Most of those subjects say, 40% of them say that their photos had been stolen from them, like they were not submitted,
Right.
or like they don't think, like there was a couple that they said they had submitted or given them to an ex, but they then contacted that ex after, and the ex said no, like I swear I never
I've
did
deleted it off
anything,
my
yeah,
phone.
something
Right.
like that. So there's a lot of people after him to get individual photos taken down, so he's being attacked from all angles, but at the same time he's on Twitter and he's blowing up. People love him on Twitter. Anytime he makes a comment, it's like there's a lot of people responding saying I fucking love Hunter, and like women are approaching him at bars all the time. Like he's getting a fuck ton
Women
of
are
attention.
approaching him at a bars in a positive way?
Yeah, like they want to sleep with Hunter. Meanwhile,
What?
Hunter has a girlfriend this entire time. It's crazy.
If I Google Hunter Moore, will it ruin your story right now?
No.
I want to
so.
see what this person looks
Oh,
like.
I have pictures.
Okay.
I'll show them to you in a second because they're pictures
reveals
from
something.
interviews. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the people aiming to take him down, James McGibney, who's an ex-Marine and a successful and rich entrepreneur, tries to wants to take down the website from the inside. What happened was he owns like a lot of websites,
Okay.
I think, and Hunter approached him about advertising on Is Anyone Up. So he goes to Is Anyone Up and he's like, this is really messed up.
Right.
I need to find a way to take him
destroy
down
this.
from the inside. And so he agrees to advertise with Hunter. And eventually he is doing his own kind of research. He sees photos and he's asking Hunter, how are you doing age verification
Right.
on these people? And Hunter kind of explains it to him, and that it's kind of like an honor system. Like people
Sure.
will report ages, but
You like click a box that says, I swear these people are at
Yes.
least 18 or older.
James proves to him that one of the people he thought was 19 was 15. At least.
Oh my
And
God.
there's probably more than that. And so James is kind of like scaring him, like, you are now doing something incredibly illegal.
Right.
You are very public.
And profiting off
And
of
profiting
it. And
off of it.
defending it.
And you're the one that kind of agrees to post these things. Like, you get the submissions, you agree to post whatever. You need to get out of here. Like, you need to get out of this business right now. Sell
Okay.
me the website, and it's out of your hands. It's done. Eventually, Hunter agrees. James buys the website, and the very next day, all of the photos are removed, and isanyoneup.com redirects to bullyville.com, which is one of his passion projects. He'd been severely bullied as a kid.
Oh.
Yeah, and so the front page of Bullyville features Hunter's announcement on the site closing, along with like his picture on the front page.
Hunter Moore's picture? So, like, this was the guy who was doing this.
Yeah.
I bought it from him and I shut it down.
Yeah, and then the letter from Hunter saying like, I'm deeply apologetic for all my actions, whatever.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Can I say, we need more rich people doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
We need more rich people making weird art plays.
Yes.
I want just impressionist paintings of like a debaucherous dinner party where everyone has an
100%.
iPhone.
Exactly.
Right. Like, I want us to spend money the way rich people were supposed to spend money. Which
Exactly.
isn't on Twitter and the Pinkertons, but instead are injustice.
Fucking people up. After this, Hunter claims he's going to start a new project called We Party for a Cause, which would organize events to raise money for various charities.
Okay.
He goes on several interviews.
Who's doing this again?
Hunter Moore says he's doing this. I think maybe before he announces the sale of the website, he ends up on an interview with Anderson Cooper, where he is forced to face two of his victims.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a picture of that interview. Oh, that's Kate Warren, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. This is him with Anderson Cooper facing those two victims.
Listen, I'm sure it's like right here. He looks uncomfortable.
He was deeply uncomfortable.
He also, and I hate to typecast, but 100% looks like a guy who would not apologize.
He looks like a scene kid,
Yes.
obviously, but like just the way he's holding himself and like kind of his face and his attitude. You can Google this interview between between him and Anderson Cooper, and it's fucking wild. But okay, so where are we? So yeah, is anyone up at this point once it gets taken down? Has been up for 16 months.
Okay.
It is not long lived, which kind of surprised me because I was like, something this like
huge,
crazy feels
right.
like it should have been going on for 4
if they
years.
started
like,
in the summer of 1 year, it's down before what, Christmas the next year?
Yeah, exactly. Everything seems fine until he appears on HNL's Dr. Drew show, where he's now supposedly this reformed person. He's being interviewed about what it was like being the king of revenge porn.
What a title to not want to have, you know?
Yes, exactly. So he, on this interview, is kind of bombarded, surprised. They bring a guest on.
What? You guys don't like me?
He's surprised by Dr. Drew has scheduled a surprise guest, and that surprise guest is Charlotte Laws.
Oh, the person who started the crusade?
Well, one of them. This is a screen grab from that interview.
He looks so bad, can I just
Yes.
say? Like, that shirt, that button is fighting for its life.
Yeah, it's not...
She looks like she came to play.
Oh, yeah, she does not look like she is about to handle
Like, the
any
way I
of
would
this.
describe him in that photo is it's like he just woke up and he has to go pick up red Solo cups from his
Yes.
frat house's front yard.
Yeah.
Oof.
So-
Here's the thing. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about Hunter Moore. I'm almost positive he is the villain in this.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that these things are happening
Yeah.
to him. I wish more happened to him than uncomfortable interviews that he probably got paid to be part of.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's part of the story. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if it's not, I'm glad at least he experienced some like deep humiliation and shame for creating a site that encouraged by his own hand humiliation
Yeah.
and shame.
So in this interview, she confronts him about her suspicions that he is somehow hacking victims' emails because she has the evidence. She has the receipts that like her daughter did not send it to anyone. He kind of loses his shit. He's like, well, no, it's like your whore daughter. And like, yeah, you're
Not a
no,
image
not
rehab
good.
moment.
Yeah,
at
like
all.
it was your daughter's fault. She's the one that did it. It's not my fault that she took the picture. It's not my fault it got submitted to the website. I can't believe you would accuse me of hacking. Like,
I definitely can. You founded a porn website. I can absolutely believe you would violate people's internet privacy.
yeah, exactly. This prompts severe backlash, particularly on Twitter, from Hunter and the family. The Laws receive death threats and are, of course, are victims of severe cyberbullying.
They called him out on what he is probably doing.
Yeah.
And truth was met with violence.
Yeah, I mean,
Imagine our shock.
yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. So Hunter is a vindictive little bitch and announces that he is going to start Is Anyone Up To in an interview with Beta Beat. I'm not sure what that
What?
is. Yes. And this new website, since he doesn't have access to Is Anyone Up, he sold it.
Right.
Is Anyone Up To is going to have all the same pictures from that last website. So
How can he? Is it cached somewhere or something?
it's in a server, probably. It's maybe in his files. So at this point, what I didn't write down, Charlotte's daughter, Kayla, I can't tell if it was like her biological father or a stepfather. The person married to Charlotte Laws is a lawyer, and so basically sent of like, take Kayla's photo down or we'll take you to
else.
court.
Right.
And so Kayla's photo is actually down at this point. So now he's saying all the same photos will be back up, even ones that have been taken down. And so that means that Kayla's photo is going to go back up because this
Right.
is his retribution, essentially, to the Laws family. And so it'll have all the old pictures back.
What an absolute fucking sleazebag.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sure
No,
there might be kids in the car,
absolutely.
but what a gross human.
So the previous website had included their name, links to all their social media. Yeah. And so like
like
there's
the person's information is out there.
Yeah, so there was a story of like a teacher who randomly got fired one day. She didn't know why until Charlotte Laws called her and was like, "Have you been on isanyoneup.com?" And she was like, "No."
What is that? Right.
Your nudes are on there. That's why you got fired. Like stuff like that. Crazy. Is Anyone Up To? Notable difference: have home addresses and driving directions to their house.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? What would possess someone to be so... Like, even if I could understand why you would be so angry at a young woman and her family, this is so far out of pocket for that alone. Yes, But then let's take that and set aside for a second. There's hundreds, thousands of other people who you're also going to target in that way?
He's doxing them before
Yes.
doxing was really like a thing.
How are you walking around? How are you going outside into the sunlight? And also, how are you sleeping at night? It's so gross.
It's so gross. Around this time too, he's living at his mom's.
Of course he is.
Charlotte Laws, she's like, I think she's working with the FBI around this point. She's been told to like keep quiet about it. So the FBI is on to him. They're trying to like figure out what's going on, right?
Yes.
She doxes him on Twitter by posting his home address. Obviously, she received a ton of backlash, but
Sure.
she was like, do you like when people do this?
Here it is.
Yeah, this is what it's like. There is our main character of the second half.
Have we not met them yet?
We have not met them.
Oh.
Hate private information being shared. So Hunter is now not only like about to repost all of these like very exploitative images and
Right.
information there, he's also about to like really threaten some people.
Right, show off where they
So-
live and stuff. Especially if you are a woman,
Mm-hmm.
where like stalking disproportionately impacts them. Women do have to change their addresses sometimes
Yeah.
because of like people they know
Mm-hmm.
threaten their physical safety. To then like anyone, do you want to? Well, here they live, and here you go, and here's how you would get there.
And so our main character is not about to let this happen. So as I wrote in my notes, ba 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 ba.
It's John. Wait, is it actually John Cena?
No.
Okay, I don't know. He seems like a Renaissance man.
No. Fight. Anonymous.
Oh, like the website Anonymous.
Website.
Is it the web? When I say website, I mean internet group.
The internet group, Anonymous.
Anonymous, good,
Yes.
okay.
They post something, a video. If you don't know who Anonymous is, they will post a video, and they're known for wearing the V for Vendetta masks.
Right.
And so you don't really know who's in Anonymous. Most people keep it quiet if they are in Anonymous, but they post a video saying like Hunter Moore is on site. Like, fuck you.
Right.
Hunter later backtracks the "Is anyone up to" statement, saying it was a semi-lie because he'd been drunk and coked out when he did that interview. He confirmed not everyone's address will be posted, only the people who had personally wronged him. Ding, 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 Charlotte Laws' daughter.
Right.
Anonymous then...
Also, she actually hadn't personally wronged him. He had taken intimate photos of her and used them for his own selfish
Personal gain,
without any connection to her whatsoever, without any apology, without
No,
any
yeah.
justification. Not that there is a justification for that,
yeah.
but she had actually not personally wronged
done
him.
anything wrong. Yeah. So Anonymous published detailed personal information about Hunter Moore on Pastebin, which is like a text storage site, it seems like.
Okay.
Hunter then provokes Anonymous by daring them to attack his websites via tweets, and Anonymous said, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and?
So what do they do?
They hacked and wiped his servers, so now he does not have the photos
Oh, it's all gone.
at all. He cannot re-up
That's so
isanyoneup2.com.
sexy. I'm sorry.
I
That's so
know.
cool. I didn't even listen, what you could do on the internet, I don't know. I
don't
really
know.
don't know
I
how
don't
it
know.
works. I don't know I don't know how Wi-Fi works. I think it's magnets. I don't know how it works at all. So the idea that like an outside thing could like get into your server and like do it and like
what
erase
is a
it all.
server? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are you just like keeping a flash drive charged? Like I don't know. That's so cool.
So this is the sexiest thing that they do, but they don't stop there.
Good.
They get into his bank account and reportedly donate most of his money to a women's abuse shelter. They erase this guy's social security number.
What?
They have him declared legally dead in the state of California.
Okay, hold on. You actually touched on one of my favorite niche topics. I have a friend. No, y'all, listeners, you don't understand. That's funny. And you're like, oh man, what an insane amount of paperwork that has to take to get fixed. No, you don't understand. When you are dead to the Social Security Agency, you are dead. I have a friend from high school who was like inappropriately reported as dead to the Social Security Administration.
So
and he has
funny.
like gone to their office and he's been like, I am here. You can see me.
This is very
I
Houdini.
am not dead. And they were like, this form says you are.
It's literally Houdini.
He can't vote because he can't register because dead people can't vote. Like, I do not think you actually understand how much it has kind of ruined this friend's life that he has been declared. He lives in New York, so I think he's fine. I mean, he's making a life of it, but it's like there's not like a paper you file or it's like, hey, I was just checking your work and you got it wrong. You do not check the Social Security's work when they think you're dead. You're dead. You're dead to them. You might as well actually die. So to have him declared legally dead is both funny and sexy as hell and beyond inconvenience. Like it's semi-permanent, unreversible.
I don't want to say that we're supporting crimes because this is a crime, but it is a crime against a criminal.
Right.
So I'm not going to say I
and
don't
a bad
like
person.
it.
Also,
just
here's the thing.
Fundamentally a horrible person.
You never know who's listening when it comes to this.
Yeah.
So if you actually know how to reverse a declaration of death from the Social Security Administration, send us an email. wellilaughdpod, pod, @gmail.com. This isn't like a close personal friend. I haven't talked to them in years, but last I heard it was like unresolved. And I would love to be like, hey, sorry, I just kind of remember this one. Here's the link of what
you
I
should
was
do.
just. I don't know if it's going to work or not, or if you've ever done it, but here's what someone would say if you wanted to be declared alive. Because my question now is like, do you have to get a birth certificate? Like a new birth certificate?
Can you imagine? I wasn't born yesterday.
Try that, born again Christians. I challenge you to declare yourself dead to the Social Security Administration. Then we'll know you're serious.
So this is all really great that Anonymous did this, and it does help alleviate some of the pain that these victims are going through.
Yeah.
Obviously, like those emotional scars will probably never heal in the same way, right? But it is important that those photos were never republished.
Sure.
Like they can't really control what happened when they were initially on the web in 2010.
Where they might have gone from there.
But Hunter did not have access to them anymore. At some point, the FBI arrests him. What they ended up figuring out is that there was a man, I cannot remember his name. It might have been like Christopher or something like that. He had hacked Hunter Moore's email. And Hunter Moore, instead of getting mad, said, no, work for me. And offered to pay him like a lot of money a week. I can't remember what the number was. And so this man agreed to do it. And so he just hacked all of these women's emails and got the photos out of the email, sent them to Hunter.
Charlotte Laws was right. Mm-hmm. He had
Absolutely
hacked someone's email.
He had known about it. He wasn't personally doing it, but he was paying someone to do it for him.
And then having that information live up on the web. Yes,
and the FBI in this docuseries were like, he was really sloppy about it because you know how you can have a recovery email on Gmail?
Sure.
So like if you get locked out of your own email, you can like have a code or whatever sent to this recovery email, which will help you get back in. Anytime he hacked someone, he added an email that he was in charge of, and it was the same email every time as a new recovery email. And so that's how they were able to track this.
So he would hack in to create like of the recovery emails, so you'd have access to it.
Yeah, so they actually had access. They actually knew who was doing the hacking. It took them a while to find the link to confirm that Hunter was like involved in some way.
They're like, you're guilty, but we think more people are also guilty.
Yeah, exactly. And so they both get sentenced, obviously, and this guy, Charlotte Laws, remembers in like the trial that this guy was actually like remorseful, kind of, and Hunter was not. And so it was a financial thing. Like he was getting paid to do it. Maybe he didn't morally agree with it, and obviously you still shouldn't do it. But like, anyway, Anonymous, chaos incarnate, acts in the direction often of the public opinion. And so it's kind of like the exact opposite of the Pinkertons. And so some of the other sources that kind of give away this story that I didn't mention. The first one is The Most Hated Man on the Internet on Netflix. That's where the story that I just read about Charlotte Laws came from. It's a 3-part docuseries.
About Hunter Moore.
It's crazy, yeah. If you're interested, if you want to know more, absolutely watch it. Some of my other sources were Cybersecurity Magazine and Hack Read and some other like cyber websites, or cybersecurity websites. So, Anonymous. They are, quote, decentralized international movement of digital activists known for generating high-profile cyber attacks against governments, companies, and other institutions. Oftentimes, they will end their announcements with, quote, "We are anonymous, we are legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us."
Okay, so super chill group of humans.
Really fucking chill, dude. Really fucking chill. And
good for them.
kind of the interesting thing about Anonymous is that there's no hierarchy. They really don't have any control of what's done in their name. So you can Google what Anonymous has done, and there's a fuck ton of shit, and it's all over the world. And it's really just like if enough people in the group want to do it, they do it, and that's how it kind of goes. So their operations are proposed in online communities, usually via encrypted IM apps, and then carried out if there's enough support. It originated on 4chan, which is, if you don't know, it's the same platform where QAnon originated off of. It's similar to Reddit, but there's like not as much moderation, I think, is what happens. So because of this, because there's no hierarchy, there's no real way to judge if an action is carried out by, quote, Anonymous is legitimate. Their actions say that they are politically libertarian leftist, and they're strong advocates for freedom of
anarchist.
speech. Yes.
Okay.
And resistance against government oppression. So they originated on 4chan in 2003. They were started by teenagers who met in...
As most good things are.
Yes, who met in chat rooms to coordinate trolling of other internet groups. So they would meet and be like, let's go into this other group and just like...
Let's infiltrate.
Be assholes.
And ruin quilt weavers of North America or whatever.
Yes. And so they refer to themselves as, quote, Anonymous because that was 4chan's default username if you like log in.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's kind of a way that they don't like really track you. By the end of 2006, the group escalated to harassing people it didn't like far-right radio host Hal Turner.
Nice.
At this point, Anonymous is still not considered to be politically motivated. Their focus is on having fun.
Did they turn the frickin' frogs gay?
Yes.
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
That remix, by the way, actually really good. Has a solid beat to it.
I love those remixes. Yeah. So... beginning in 2007, 4 years after they were kind of originally started working together, Anonymous begins to shift their focus. So I think at this point, they're starting to get not just teenagers, like actual people that are able to
with
like...
degrees and access to things.
Yeah, exactly. Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, approached Aubrey Cottle, who was a leading member in Anonymous, about working for the Canadian law enforcement to disrupt online spaces of terrorist groups. Cottle believes CSIS, quote, grossly overestimated his activities. The government is the government. It doesn't matter if it's the Pinkertons or Anonymous.
Man, I'm just on 4chan a lot. I have no idea how to do that.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, I don't know if you've had this experience, but I have actually had this exact experience at work where someone would be like, and honestly, when it comes to like really driving classroom engagement, you need to check out Mr. Thomas's classroom. And I'm like, fuck, what? What? You're gonna come to don't come to my room.
Don't.
I don't think I'm good at that at all. And also, don't want visitors. You've grossly overestimated what I do.
Yes, that's literally what this guy says. And then KTTV, which is a Fox TV station out of LA, discussed Anonymous in a report while showing stock footage of an exploding van. Anonymous has not incited any violence, but now there's a public opinion.
What intern was in charge of the graphics for the 4 o'clock news?
And so now it's suggesting Anonymous is capable of real violence. And at this point, this amused all the members and also leads them to recognize the power of public opinion and also harness that power of like being scary. I don't know at what point they started using the V for Vendetta masks, but I assume it was around this time.
Sure. Well, if we're going to be accused of overthrowing the government, we should at least look
Let's be
cool.
scary. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, I don't want this coming back to me.
I think we're coming out pretty clearly pro-anonymous here.
2008, they have Project Chanology, I think. Chanology. It's led by early hacker Greg Hoosh. It's a series of Anon. They kind of call like it's anonymous, and then all of the members are called like I'm an Anon, which is a member of Anonymous, like you would call a Coloradan.
A Coloradan.
Person out of Colorado. Yeah. So a series of Anon organized actions against the Church of Scientology.
Oh, wait, hold on. I feel like I actually heard like a brief news article about
Probably.
that. Did they get access to like records or something and like share it?
This has been a while since I've read this, so as I researched this, I really couldn't tell you. So it was instigated by a video of Tom Cruise discussing his belief in Scientology, and this video was leaked by Gawker on January 14th, 2008. It was not considered flattering for Cruise or the church. The church had it removed due to a copyright violation claim, and legally threatened Gawker, the news article, or the news source.
Website.
And if Anonymous hates anything, it is bitches that lie and hide their worst selves from the internet.
Is that the word for word quote, or is that your
That's
read?
me, yeah.
You're a poet.
Thank you. So January 21st, Anonymous announced its campaign against Scientology via a YouTube video called, quote, Message to Scientology. They used denial of service attacks on the Scientology website, and it's called a DOS. A DOS commonly is when an attacker will flood a network server with traffic so that no one else can access the website. The server will just like crash, you know? So they also linked the term Church of Scientology and dangerous cult in Google. So if you Google Church of Scientology, you'd get results for dangerous
If we
cult.
could link Well I Laughed with best podcast of the year, best podcast 2023, best podcast 2024, and
Whoever has
hot
that
singles in my area.
This is our stupid faces.
Find us at wellilaughdpod@gmail.com. It's actually funny because one of us is hot and one of us is engaged, and then there's me. It's 2 1s and then a
0.
Also, okay. Wow. You could so clearly tell I was looking for a different word there.
I was thinking binary. 'Cause computers. I knew you were offended the second.
I'm like, there's a 1 and there's like a fun, but like that doesn't. There's like a 1 and then like an A, you know, where it's like first, but like different
0.
categories. There's 1 and a 0. Oh, okay, with your whole chest.
I don't take it back. So they, on top of this, they also sent the church black faxes, because this is when faxes were still a
it would
thing.
just run out of their ink printers when it. Oh my god, that's so malicious. Ink is super expensive.
I know. So it would result in the fax machine running out of toner and shutting down. They also hosted a series of prank calls to the Church of Scientology, so they couldn't actually receive real calls. And they coordinated a lot of in-person protests outside of Scientology centers around the world. After this, Anonymous officially moved from trolling to hacktivism, which is politically motivated hacking. Since then, Anonymous has targeted, and this is just a list of associated or random things, credit card companies, white supremacist organizations, child pornography sites, copyright protection agencies, multiple governments, Recording Industry Association of America, and Motion Picture Association of America, after those two organizations, RIAA and MPAA, worked to stop pirating websites from sharing copyrighted music and movies. They've also hacked the U.S. Department of Justice and FBI after federal authorities shut down file-sharing website megaupload.com in 2012. They hacked PayPal after the online payments platform stopped allowing donations to WikiLeaks and its controversial founder, Julian Assange. They hacked the government websites in Tunisia, Egypt, and other countries in the Middle East and Africa as part of the 2011 Arab Spring pro-democracy protests. They hacked ISIS following the 2015 Paris terrorist attack. They have openly supported WikiLeaks, Occupy Wall Street, the Arab Spring uprising, protests in Hong Kong, Black Lives Matter, the independence of Taiwan, and Ukraine's defensive war against Russia.
Student loans, Nelnet, Nelnet, Department of Education, Supreme Court Justice. Student loans.
Yeah.
Justice to student loans.
Student loans. Wipe that server, please.
I saw, and there's like a various numbers out there that anywhere from maybe as small, and that's with some air quotes, as small as like 25, 30, 35, 40% to maybe as large as 75% of student loan repayers who are supposed to start repaying in October have not started repaying their student loans.
So unfortunate.
It's so predictable.
It is pretty. You stop it for 2 years, people stop their payments. They're not going to remember to restart it, especially after the government, like 15 times now, has been like, we're restarting.
Also, you can't pause it, have nothing bad happen ever, and then ask people for hundreds of dollars again. The amount of like things I have seen where it's like, you can have my repayment or my vote, and now that they forced the issue, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to still vote for you, so I'm not going to pay you.
It was one or the other.
Listen, your mother and I are disappointed, and we have gone ahead and made a decision for the family, which is that we're not going to repay these loans. Yeah. They're imaginary anyways, and
true.
It was, I'm about to get into a whole thing. So I won't. But now Nelet, not to dox them, but they do have a location in Lincoln, Nebraska. Third, fourth, fifth, eighth time I've mentioned Lincoln, Nebraska this episode.
And I love it. Okay. So their typical, Anonymous' typical tactics include stealing and leaking sensitive data,
right.
Obviously.
Net. Yeah. One word.
In 2012, a lot of these actions happened in the early 2010s, hence Hunter Moore, which is 2010.
Right.
Time magazine declared Anonymous one of the top 100 most influential people in the world.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, this same year, the National Security Agency deemed Anonymous a threat to national security.
Well, whose security? Whose security are we worried about?
Come on, NSA.
Big banks? I don't know what I'm going on now.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of saying things. I'm in a feisty mood. It's all of the coffee I've had Sunday evening is really just kind of getting me all like.
No, I get it. Yeah. So Anonymous has some supporters and some critics. Critics. It depends on what side of capitalism you are.
Depends on how cool you are.
Yeah. This is a quote from Parmi Olson, who's a journalist and author of a book on Anonymous. Quote, has Anonymous done good for the world? In some cases, yes. Unnecessarily harassing people? I would class that as a bad thing. DDoSing the CIA website, stealing customer data and posting it online just for shits and giggles? Not a good thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My previous comments were made with me unawares of that little bit of information.
Most of the time, well, the customer data sometimes is a good thing.
Oh.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last part of the story.
Okay.
Authorities around the world have arrested dozens of hackers with alleged ties to Anonymous. 14 people were charged with hacking PayPal in 2011. Barrett Brown, a journalist and self-professed Anonymous spokesperson, served 4+ years in prison after a 2012 arrest on charges relating to cyber attacks and threatening a federal officer.
I definitely don't want to be a spokesperson for an organization that does illegal shit to really powerful institutions and whom I can't steer single-handedly the decisions of.
Especially when you have the option to literally be anonymous.
Right. It almost would be encouraged.
Yeah, like that's kind of the point. So we're going to come a little bit into the future. If you were wondering, Anonymous still operates today.
Okay.
So we're jumping to 2021. There is a press release that was released September 13th, 2021. The press release is in relation to a company called Epic, which is a website hosting provider, which has been the host of many right-wing websites over the years, such as Gab, Parler, The Donald.
Right.
Yes. And I'm just gonna read the press release to you. It's quite long. So another thing about Anonymous is that they do name all their operations. So Hunter's operation was called Hunt Hunter.
Nice.
Yeah. So this one was called Operation Epic Fail because it's Epic. It's EPIC. Yes. Okay. So official Anonymous press release, September 13th, 2021. I'm going to take out random things that I don't think apply because it is kind of long. Just in case you look it up and you're like, oh, I didn't read that. That's why. The CEO or person running Epic, his name is Rob Monster. And so the next line says...
Shut up. His name is not Mr. Monster. Okay, sorry. You can't just skim past that. No.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So it says notorious, quote, hackers on steroids. I assume that's something they've been called.
Okay.
Present grand reveal of Rob, quote, Hitler should have won, end quote, Monster's epic failure. You know, when you name a company Epic, that implies something really big's going to happen. Deserving of the name. Well, after years of bolstering the worst trash the internet has to offer, this is truly the epic moment we've all been waiting for. Contained within this release, the following delicious morsels that will surely be digested for months to come. A decade's worth worth of data from the company. That's right, everybody. Time to find out who in your family secretly ran an ivermectin, skip forward if you have a kid in the car, ivermectin horse porn fetish site, disinfo publishing outfit, or yet another QAnon hellhole. Want to know what nation state decided to offer hosting to some domestic terror groups without those pesky DDoS mitigating reverse proxies getting in your way? Want to know the identity of the owner of a domain or large set of domains used in yet another influence information operation? Decloak, and then there's like a lot of stuff about like decloaking origins of websites. Okay, what you get for the low price of $0.00. All domain purchases, all domain transfers in and out, all who is history unredacted, all DNS changes, all email forwards, catch-alls, etc., payment histories, no credit card data. Don't get excited, FBI. We're not in that game. Account credentials for all Epic customers, hosting, anonymized VPN, and so on. Epic internal systems, servers, Epic's GoDaddy logins, and more in plain text. Over 500,000 private keys. They basically they dox fucking all of the customers of Epic. Most of them are not good. It's so like pretty brutal.
So like we're talking about like the weird guy who works 2 desks down from you at work, not necessarily like the owner of the website.
The owner of the website. That's who
That's
it is.
who they're doxing.
Yes.
Not like the average reader of Epic.
Yes. It's people who pay
It's both?
Epic. It's people who pay Epic for domains. And so it will be like, if you are the one hosting isanyoneup.com, if it were around at this point,
Okay.
they would have doxed Hunter Moore. If Hunter Moore had been anonymous, like you don't know who's
But they're
running
not
this website.
doxing people who just navigate to read the articles on that
From my
page.
understanding, no,
Okay.
not that.
So
not
the
just
average
random
person
people.
was-
average
okay.
people. If you're paying Epic for like a domain or hosting
If you're
your
paying
server,
into this like semi-fascist organization, you're going to be outed now
yes.
in this. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Support starving hacktivists, and they will bless you in return. They're kind of like asking for donations at that point. So long for
They're
now.
like, join our Patreon.
Yeah, literally, that's what happened. This data set is all that's needed to trace actual ownership and management of the fascist side of the internet that has eluded researchers, activists, and, well, just about everybody. And maybe have a little extra fun for the lulz. That is word for word what they said. L-U-L-Z.
They're very L-U. They're lols. Okay, not lols. Okay.
Yeah. Is it possible to own a company as hard as this? We sure love to see it. Good luck with the rebrand, Robbie boy. And then they were like, money tips for the inevitable legal bills for when the FBI kicks down over 9,000 doors after this utterly embarrasses everyone and outs one or more of their poorly thought out stochastic terrorism plots. Good luck. We're behind 7 proxies. They're like, if you want to catch us, fuck you. So they proceed to send like a small sample size of this data set to a lot of news like outlets around the US or the world or whatever, and like some screenshots of whatever. It shows that this hacking, although it's been released in September, has been going on since the end of February of 2021. One of the sources that I used, The Record, reached out for comment from Epic, and they said, quote, Epic, the one that's been hacked. We are not aware of any breach. We take the security of our clients' data extremely seriously, and we are investigating the allegation.
We would never admit to being hacked.
Also, allegation?
There's a link.
There's a whole data set, a massive
There's a link
data
and
set.
a donation pitch.
Yeah.
It's not an accusation.
So they send out a sample size of the data. A few days later, I think they send the full data set to everyone for like review. They openly encourage researchers, journalists to comb through it because it's just so much information.
Sure.
The Record also contacts several randomly selected customers of Epic whose information match what released in the data. So they're confirming that it's true. They confirm things like real names, emails, home addresses for the domains for which these details had previously been kept private. Computer science experts claimed this contains decades worth of information and is one of the worst breaches they had ever seen. Here's a quote. They are fully compromised end to end, maybe the worst I've ever seen in my 20-year career. The data released by Anonymous gave that person the power to take over basically any site hosted by Epic. So if you had a vendetta against one of these websites,
You can make it into whatever you want.
Game's on.
Okay.
Yeah. This data was hosted on an independent investigative journalism portal, which had also hosted leaks provided by Anonymous in June of 2020. I went down another rabbit hole. This was going to be my only story about this epic failure thing. And then I found out about...
Wait, before Pinkerton and everything? This was going to be
No. I covered 2 stories from each, right? And so it was like, I was going to cover Hunter Moore and then this epic fail. And then I found out about Blue Leaks, which happened in June of 2020.
Is that the Panama Papers or no?
No. What was happening in June of 2020?
I mean, there's pandemic happening.
George Floyd. Blue cops.
Oh.
This got ugly. So this is a little rabbit hole, and then we'll get back to epic failure. But so these Blue Leaks were... The 2020 leaks were codenamed Blue Leaks and were in response to the Black Lives Matter protests. They focused on law enforcement fusion centers, which is, I think, the gist I got is like various law enforcement agencies will all send their like kind of data to fusion centers that are then responsible for kind of distributing it or like making a database, and so it's a conglomerate of all of the information that law enforcement has, and that includes internal information, including like survey, like if a cop takes a training seminar and they respond to a survey as like how they can improve that training seminar, that would be some of the data that they have.
Okay.
So this Blue Leaks contained 269.21 gigabytes of internal U.S. law enforcement data, which was intended to expose police misconduct. The leaks showed acknowledgement of misconduct when it came to surveillance techniques. They had been, specifically around the George Floyd time, police had been surveilling people based on if they thought they might be part of a riot.
Okay.
Based on social media.
If you were about to go to a protest or something, they were monitoring you.
They were monitoring you, and they were fully, in these leaks, it showed that they were fully aware this could be a breach of the Constitution.
Okay.
Because
they acknowledged that this could potentially, legally dubious.
Yes. They were specifically monitoring protester communications on social media and messaging apps. Police were aware that this could be a violation of the Constitution. Also uncovered was information about police training programs revealing trainers to often be prejudiced and unprofessional. And this one made me really mad. There's a survey responding to a class saying, quote, "I don't know where to start. As someone who has worked full-time counterterrorism for the past 6 years, this course was a complete disaster. The instructor went on long rants short on any substance. Any substantive material was outdated, some of it more than 20 years old. Much of the material taught is publicly available conspiracy theory that has been disproved through investigation." They continue, while the instructor was open about his, quote, anti-PC beliefs, this is the only time I have ever heard the N-word repeatedly used by instructors and students. I'll give you a little spoiler. Nothing was done for the instructor.
Like no consequence.
That's not even the only negative response about this instructor. Shows the instructor had many complaints against them and had been flagged repeatedly, but no significant action was taken. One of his quotes was, quote, "If a woman is crying, she is lying." This is 2020.
And the people you're supposed to call when you need protection, when you need investigation, when probably one of their worst nights of, if not your life, at least the year has occurred.
Yep. From my impression too, it seems like this instructor was teaching something for narcotics. That has nothing.
What?
Yeah.
It's both, I mean, obviously sad and infuriating for the things that you're saying, but I'm shocked to hear it acknowledged, but I'm not surprised to hear it acknowledged. I think one of the things that has happened since 2020 is a larger public reckoning with maybe the culture of some of these institutions, in addition to other things that it's like, at its core, it's like, well, maybe there is some like toxic, violent, dehumanizing mentality, if not being pushed from the top down, present in the ranks of some of these organizations.
Yeah, and there was a lot of quotes as well on this website. This particular instructor who these responses are about was not only responsible for training policemen, he was also responsible for training like other higher up like narcotics focused people, and like I can't remember some of the other ones, but there were like other agencies that weren't just LAPD or NYPD or whatever like that. And some of the people that responded were like, I am ashamed that this course is sponsored by the organization that I work for.
So there were people in the organization who were flagging it in the surveys, and that's in part why Anonymous was able to get a hold of it, because people were like, this wasn't an appropriate thing.
Yeah. There's also a ton of other responses that I didn't bother copying down because truthfully a lot of it is not worth repeating. But the instructor was openly racist, sexist, xenophobic, made many jokes about sexual assault, perpetrated conspiracy theories in class. One leak said, I don't know if it was this same instructor or a different instructor, admitting to lying in court frequently, saying, quote, he flat out said in class he lied all the time in court to cover his partner's asses. He said multiple times a badge and being a cop means, quote, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that's the end of that rabbit hole. We'll go back.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like some of the things that were uncovered, I was like, what the fuck? And also like, this absolutely feels like something the public should know, you know? But whatever. Back to Epic Fail. Epic Fail was actually not an operation in and of itself. It was an kind of a side operation done under their big Operation Jane, which is in response to the Texas Heartbeat Bill being signed into law, Heartbeat Act being signed into law. And this operation was also called Expect Us, Texas.
Can I pause here real quick for a second? So this organization's actions are falling in line with like my own worldview or frustrations, or taking actions around things I personally would want to see actions taken on. And so in some ways that's comforting, right? Obviously but at the same time, like the dangerous thing about vigilantism is that once vigilantism is okay, it's not only going to be for your side, or it's not only going to, like, I'm trying to think now, and you just mentioned that we're about to get into Texas's Heartbeat Bill.
Yeah, there's like less than a page left.
Like an environment where this kind of vigilantism is okay, even if I do cheer on the causes, it's like where they could dox abortion providers, right? They could dox gay public school teachers.
Like the people, they have so much power.
Right. And that's completely unchecked.
And luckily for me, I believe in a lot of the same causes, but it is like a scary amount of power that could absolutely go in a direction that I personally don't believe in. It's
asking us to be comfortable with the moral compass of an organization that by design we don't know a lot about. And I don't think it's a controversial thing to say, but it's eye-opening, it's scary, both in terms of like what they are able to expose because of their willingness to cross some of these institutional lines, but then also at the same time, like, God, like, that's like a certain degree of unchecked. Okay, sorry, continue. A lot of power. I don't think there's more I have to say there, but.
Yeah. So they had a bigger operation around this time, Operation Jane, which was in response, as I mentioned, to the Texas Heartbeat Act being signed into law. For those of you who don't know, the Texas Heartbeat Act was passed on September 1st of 2021, and it happened upon the repeal of Roe v. Wade, and then this act allows private individuals, not just law enforcement or medical professionals, to enforce a 6-week abortion ban. And I think that's really where they ticked off Anonymous. I'm not sure that they're like super pro like women's rights or anything. I mean, I'm sure they probably are, but their real problem is that now there's no system to check if like you just hate your ex and want to now report them for getting an abortion, now they're in trouble. Any citizen is able to sue any other citizen for $10,000 for being suspect of having an abortion.
Right.
So any Texas resident can bring a civil lawsuit against any person who performs or helps facilitate an illegal abortion and claim at least $10,000 in damages. So if like you're a person, one of your close friends needs an abortion, wants an abortion, and you drive them to another state where that is acceptable, you are now open to getting a civil lawsuit.
Or you're a person seeking an abortion and you take a lift from your house to the airport to fly out of state. That Lyft driver,
is now. Yep. So there are no exceptions of incest or rape, and like we can get into like the morals of being pro-choice, pro-life. That's not really the point I think Anonymous is trying to make, and it's fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I think you all know where Grant and I probably stand on this. But yeah, this website that Texas put up allows individuals to report
Right, make
other
reports.
individuals,
Right.
and it was called colloquially an abortion bounty.
Right.
Epic was the host of this abortion bounty site, and so that was why they were targeted.
Wasn't it run by the state of Texas?
Yeah,
And they went through Epic to host it?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you still, like, our website is hosted by Podbean, and so
Sure,
and
but-
Podbean could be owned by whoever.
So it
yeah.
still feels like a conservative state government going to a conservative site to like host their. Yep. Okay.
So the name Operation Jane was confirmed by a spokesperson to be a nod to the Jane Collective, which actually operated out of Chicago before abortion was legalized, and
Right.
they helped pregnant people get abortions. The quote is, "Operation Jane is a nod to the Jane Collective. It is our way of looking back, tipping our cap, and pushing forward through dire circumstances." Also of note, Roe v. Wade. Roe, as mentioned in Roe v. Wade, is from the name Jane Roe, which was the pseudonym used by Norma McCorvey, who was the plaintiff who was trying to get an abortion. Wade comes from Henry Wade, who is Norma's the DA of like where she lived in Texas.
The person who sued her.
Yes. September 3rd, 2021, the Operation Jane Twitter account posted an introductory message, quote, "Greetings, citizens of the world. This is a message from anonymous Operation Jane. Texas Senate Bill 8 is one of the most restrictive and extreme pieces of anti-choice legislation in the United States. September 12th, 2021, the Texas Republican Party was hacked and defaced." What do you mean defaced, you
Yes.
may ask? This is what their website looked like after Anonymous was done with it. So you can't really see the URL, but it is like texasrepublicans.org or something like that. You want to describe to the people what you're seeing?
So there's a picture of them getting rickrolled.
Mm-hmm.
There's like an edgelordy, I forget what Pokemon that is, but it says Anonymous is a Legion, and then it's a
Yeah.
bunch of like Pokemon, and then there's a like a headline in the middle of their website that says the Republican Party of effing over women mission, and Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer. We really love The Handmaid's Tale and wish to enact it to its fullest. Football, 8 exclamation points. If you are dumb enough to support Donald Trump, we can get you to do just about anything. Search nothing, you a-hole, LOL. Goats. The Republican effing Americans Daily Party of Texas, P.O. Box 911. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. Bush lied. People died. Phone number 1-800-FUCK.YOU. Disclaimer, hackers on steroids are 10 times more effective at romance than all Republicans. Trans demon hackers are coming for you. Abortion is a choice. Taxpayer dollars wasted by the Texas effing all women party of Texas. Happy September 11th.
This happened on September 12th.
We are committed to taking away the rights of women so we can live our prosperous Bible thumping dream. And then what are the what are the drop-down menus? Operation Jane, Planned Parenthood, Your Anon News, and Mudkip Pokemon, which I think is the Pokemon that they're using to troll.
Yeah.
It is everything is definitely very deliberate.
Yes.
And if this is your style of humor, which I think for me it kind of is a little bit, I'm trying to read it as plain Jane as possible here.
I'm not supporting the little crime that I'm reporting on. I'm supporting the pettiness.
Oh, 100%.
They rickrolled them.
There's-
Rickroll is above all of these words, by the way.
There's a little thing here at the bottom that I want to share
Yeah.
that I think is just
Yeah, go
fun
for it.
and gets to the pettiness. Copyright at Anonymous, no rights reserved.
See that?
That's clever. That's really well done.
Yeah. I love that. Subtle. It's the attention to detail.
Again,
you know?
we've already laid out that like the level of power and vigilantism, institutionally, structurally, socially, we have concerns with that, et cetera, and also we can appreciate a good wordplay joke. Yeah, absolutely, we can.
A good little
Maybe
bit.
that's enabling this organization that we're like trying to like both sides of.
It's
here.
really hard to, I don't know, say negative things about an organization that is like acting in my favor. And I understand that there's a lot of privilege in that statement. And like some of you who are listening may not fall on the same political spectrum of Grant and I. It's the pettiness for me. It's just like we did this because we could.
Right.
It's like having Hunter Moore declared legally dead. They didn't need to do that. They already accomplished their mission.
I forgot about that part of this episode. Sorry, we cover a lot.
It's like a second person came in and saw that someone else already wiped the server, and they're like, well, what else can I do?
I like to think that the website got passed around and everyone got to add
like one
little line. The button to donate to Ted Cruz, the Zodiac Killer, is so funny.
I think that button actually leads you to Planned Parenthood,
Good.
if I remember
correctly.
correctly.
I'm glad that they aren't actually donating to Ted Cruz. I'm not shocked that they're not.
Yeah.
The fact that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer is extra funny to me because the Zodiac Killer stopped being active like 4 years before Ted Cruz was born.
So funny. It's so funny
Fantastic.
that now factually it cannot be accurate. And still everyone is like,
Ted Cruz,
but what if?
Zodiac Killer. Have you seen those bumper stickers that says Ted Cruz ate my son?
It's funny because he's not even like a relevant political figure in this moment, but people are still like, fuck that guy.
He was edgelordy in like 2017 to 2020, although I have another Ted Cruz quote that I love from an anonymous senator who I believe was a Republican senator, so from his party, and they said, you could shoot Ted Cruz dead on the floor of the U.S. Senate, and if the jury had to be paneled from his peers, no one would convict you. Do you know how much of a bad vibes guy you gotta be for people to be like, I agree with his worldview entirely, and I still want to bet.
I still wouldn't like be mad, you know? So the last little bit of the story, they defaced the Texas Republican Party website, and this is a quote from the Texas Republican Party as a response. Quote, while the nation paused over the weekend in remembrance of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the Republican Party of Texas website was hacked. The GOP's website homepage added, quote, pro-abortion activists targeted us because of our strong support for the Heartbeat Act. This attack adds to the growing list of actions by the radical left who tries to silence anyone that disagrees with them. They then asked for donations with the tagline, Keep Texas Red.
I understand there's like a political messaging, and I understand that for some people it's like this worldview makes sense to them. But in my mind, when I hear it, we're in the weeds now, folks. You know this. In my mind, they're like, our support for a bill that will result in people being murdered wasn't popular with the cancel left wing of the world, and so instead of engaging with us, culpable for the murder of other people, they defaced our website. If you think that's the bigger crime, donate today, you know? They're like,
and don't go to the website and donate there. That's not the right donation.
All we did was use our institutional power to force people desperate for medical service, legal in every other developed country, to either risk their life or their financial stability. And we don't think we should suffer any consequences for that.
And
I set your house on fire and you called me a bad person?
Yeah.
Who's the real victim here?
And also they're completely ignoring the fact that I think the real reason Anonymous targeted them is because of that whole thing where you could like just submit who you thought got an abortion. Like that's really what caused Anonymous to get involved. That's where they're like their thing
encouraging citizens to prey on
dox
each other.
Yes. Yeah, and Anonymous was like
because if there's one thing Anonymous does, it's protect its brand.
So true. And then I Googled things Anonymous has done, right? The first thing that often shows up
an email?
when you Google is Wikipedia. And so I was like, okay, I can like look at Wikipedia and then like maybe go to other sources if I find something that I like. Just give this a scroll. You'll be scrolling for a lot longer.
Do I get to do a deadpan read like last time?
If you see one that you like, absolutely. You'll just keep... This is officially the second one.
Did you intentionally put that up there at the top for me?
This is because this is the one that I already talked about, the Scientology one.
I'm not... Epilepsy Foundation Forum Invasion is a sentence who individually the words I know, but in that order...
Don't understand
I don't understand. Yeah. Defacement, Sarah Palin email. No Cussing Club. 2009 Iranian election protests. Operation.
All of their things are operations.
I know, but I'm just saying that for ones I don't want to read.
Yeah, that's fair.
Radical. Operation Payback, Avenge Assange, and Radical. Leak Spin. And now we're in 2011. One section is just titled Zimbabwe.
A lot of those ones are just them showing their support for things, is what I learned.
Attack on HB Gary Federal. Like, some of these are, you know, again, you like kind of hope that they're the good guys, the rebels fighting the empire.
Yeah.
Operation India, Operation Malaysia, Operation Orlando.
Bloom?
Anti-security, Facebook, BART, which I believe is the subway public transit system
Oh my God.
in the Bay Area. Syria, Darknet, Los Zetes. Some of these are out of context too, like extra funny. Like,
There's
just
just so
fun.
many of them.
There's
too.
a shocking
Like,
list.
you think you're gonna get to the end at some point, and you won't.
Second, Operation India.
They were like, we gotta name it Operation India. They're like, oh, that's already been taken.
No, it's still named Operation
Oh.
India. It's just a second reoccurring of a different Operation India.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a humongous list. You only really are aware of like
And a lot of
Chilean army emails link. It's like a horoscope, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2024, your horoscope is going to be Ops Wake Up 21 hashtag. What does that even mean? It's related to Malaysia. Sorry.
yeah.
You could have gotten it. Oh, the epic hack. Oh, ha ha ha. I landed on yours.
Nice.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Spin to the wheel.
A lot of the more recent ones have them been like being open about their support of certain things, like Ukraine,
Right.
and Israel and Palestine. They've also shown their support for like
Too many irons in the fire right now.
not being a dick. Yeah.
Sure.
And yeah,
So yeah.
that's it.
Nice. Well done. A fun episode. You are right. Big North Pond Hermit vibes.
Yeah, right.
100%.
Like-
it's funny to think that we started this episode in 1861, and I was
With
like,
Abraham
naturally-
Lincoln?
So what you need to understand about John Wilkes Booth is that he was an actor, but not a very good one.
See, Grant needed to get that out.
Listen.
He's been thinking about that for the last 2 hours.
It was sentence 2 in a speech I started 2.5 hours ago before you went, oh, this isn't about that. I was like, well, you started about at the start of the Civil War.
So we really covered both ends of the spectrum. Pinkertons,
fun.
who
And-
are law and can't get their shit together,
Sure.
and Anonymous, who weirdly has their shit together but are not lawful.
Right.
Like,
And also, like, while they're on our side, and that's dope. Also, like
terrified
the
of them.
extent of their power, you're like, ooh, it's kind of like America's nuclear arsenal.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm glad you're on our side. Wish it
like-
didn't exist at all.
yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and to think it all really started with the Church of Scientology.
Well, I like to think it started in Baltimore in February 1861. No, I hear you. So when we first started doing this whole little shindig, we'd always at the end of the episode be like, "Well, Maia,
laughed.
Grant, did you?" I laughed.
Yeah.
Although increasingly, I feel as like the bar we hold for ourselves
Yeah.
in terms of like research and story,
Yeah.
I increasingly want to be like, "Well, I learned." And I did learn.
Yeah, my block of little like links for my sources is like
It's-
a page,
yes.
a page and a half long. Like it was nuts.
Remember the first 10 episodes where you're like, my source, singular, was this thing that I saw
Well, I've
one
been
time.
putting
And
our-
now it's like, oh, for both
Yeah.
of us. Now it's like,
Yeah.
here are the 4 different things, and 2 of them contrast each other. We're going to get into it.
I've been putting our sources on our website just
Yeah.
for like, I don't know, make me feel better. But it's so funny to like go back to the first one and like my first Michael Malloy is like a single link.
It's a good episode of And That's Why We Drink plus a Wikipedia
Yeah,
article.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh well, Wikipedia's great. But like, are they?
They're great, but they were also just my starting point because I thought it was a fun read. But then I did some real
But
research.
then I have never once been to the sources, utilized the sources portion of a Wikipedia page, because I was never even allowed to use Wikipedia in college, and now I use it as a base point.
2 years, sorry, not 2 years ago. 2 episodes ago. For me, I was like, and one of my sources was an interactive map you can still access now. Which is funny because Cocaine Bear, I was like, yeah, I like looked at this over my lunch break. Here's what I have for you.
Which is hilarious. That's
It
all I
is.
needed to know about Cocaine Bear,
Yeah.
to know that character actress
Margot Martindale.
did a phenomenal job.
I I'm sure she had a obviously lovely career before BoJack Horseman, but I love how shows like that, especially shows that are so sometimes odd and outside of the scope of what an actor will normally do, can reinvigorate their career.
I just love when actors play themselves.
Yes.
In shows, specifically BoJack Horseman.
So Julia Roberts, I think it was Julia Roberts, was in some of the Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
And they needed a distraction in one of the episodes. And so they had Julia Roberts dress up and pretend to be Julia Roberts. And the whole joke was she was like, I don't look anything like Julia Roberts. And I remember being so confused as a kid. I was like, that's Julia Roberts, right? And my mom was like, yes. And I was like, well, then this doesn't make any sense. And my mom was like, it's a joke. Like,
you'll get it
you're
when you're
all
20.
in on it together. And I go, and you're telling me Lindsay Lohan doesn't have a twin in the Parent Trap? It's still Lindsay Lohan? Never trusted the media.
Never trusted Lindsay Lohan.
No.
In the Parent Trap. The older I get, the more I relate to Lindsay Lohan's like would-be stepmother in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, she's hot.
A woman whose only crime was not loving children, and who hasn't been guilty of that? Who hasn't? A woman whose only crime was like, I know, in 8 years, I don't need to be a mother.
She's just, yeah, I mean, honestly though, I would have been pretty plussed by the, plus was not the right word that I wanted to use in that. If someone pushed my air mattress into a lake, I think I'd be more amused than terrified.
Same a little bit, but I think I try to work really hard to prevent myself from getting there in the first place. If I find a good man who owns a winery and whose assistant chef house cleaner is our girl Chessie, I'm gonna make peace with the
that's so real.
Everyone has a bag of hair in the closet. Sometimes it's your child who wants to reconnect with her mother who lives in a different country. I would listen, I agree with the villain in The Parent Trap that she was the villain, and also at the same time I'm running it differently. She overplayed that hand. That's a poker reference.
If the housekeeper didn't like me as much, I feel like I had more anxiety than the villain in that movie. If I got even a whiff that housekeeper didn't like me, I would have crumbled.
So that scene when Chessie realizes that it's not, I forget, Anne or Annie or whatever.
Oh my God.
And she goes, and when did you, I knew it. I knew it right away. I was like, so that scene where another woman recognizes her for who she is, did that get you?
It made me tear up as a kid, and that should have been red flag numero uno.
I love it. I want you.
That's really cute. I need to watch that movie.
Casey,
I love a found family trope.
Yeah, same.
It's really cute.
I love that after everything that we talked about, we ended on The Parent Trap.
What was your favorite part about the story today? What made you laugh?
I wasn't expecting that question.
So we can end on a happy note.
I thought we were on a happy note.
No, I know, but the story.
I love two different things. Okay, first, love the kind of stuff that happens to Hunter more.
Yeah.
Hunter less is kind of really what I'm feeling more now. Less of hunting Hunter. That love just like a good karma scratch, you know.
Yes.
But then also, and we know this from being listeners. I love making good history jokes. And then even better, I love making bad history jokes. And so really this episode did a lot for me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I am excited for my episode.
I was so worried you were going to because we talked about the Pinkertons previously, and I was like, I said Law and Disorder, and I was like, it's going to be so obvious. And then as soon as I said Alan, you were like, Congressman? And I was like, never mind.
What's so funny is you and I share, and this is a classic Midwest goodbye. Our shoes are on and our hand is on the door.
Rat brain? We share one little rat brain.
Do you
LRB?
New sticker just dropped. Yeah. It's funny now. What was I? Where am I? Who are we? Once. There it is. Okay, so my favorite thing is that you and I are always afraid that we have done the other one's story. And our interests, regardless of how it may or maybe doesn't seem, our interests are so radically different from each other that we're never going to do it. It's never going to. Our TikToks are different.
Oh my God, yeah.
Every time I come to you, I'm like, have you seen this TikTok audio? And then I recreate it beautifully, by the way. And you're like, what? And I'm like, oh, okay.
It's how that was weird. It was COVID or right after COVID, I was deep into Ratatouille musical TikTok.
Yes, Remy. That's already probably copyrighted.
None of my roommates knew what I was talking about. I felt like a crazy person.
I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
Many of you have probably paused the episode at this point.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm gonna say something from that era.
Yeah.
Piggy dipping at the piggy pond. And then I forget what it was, but it was like, do you know what I'm talking about?
It's tickling an itch really far back in my brain.
It's like reaching all the way back to the sourdough starter whipped coffee era and ripping it forward. So that first winter or that second winter, I forget which, when you could like kind of go on a vacation, but it had to be like basically outside and with your own group. We went to a cabin and we invited Jacob's brother and long-term girlfriend, I think maybe fiance now. Anyways, I had only interacted with her like really once before, but maybe it was even later. It might have even been like 22 because it wasn't COVID dangerous in the way that it would have been that first year.
Yeah,
Anyways, we're in the hot tub and another person gets in the hot tub and I just say the phrase piggy dipping and she like owl turns her head around and goes piggy dipping at the piggy pond, and then we like lock in like a interstellar dance with each other and we say it and freak out everyone else we were with on this trip. And our dearest friends and family are like, who the fuck are you? Ashley, shout out. You're cool.
Were you ever on Beans TikTok?
What?
Beans.
Lifelong learner. Well, I learned. Well, I learned.
Anyway.
Are you on sad poetry TikTok?
Usually.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
The little slideshows.
I haven't seen the slideshows. I've seen people doing their spoken word poetry.
You haven't gotten the slideshows? That's
I've
like
seen the
not
slideshows.
getting. Okay.
I just haven't seen a sad poetry slideshow.
Okay, I was like, not getting one of the little slideshows with the song from Anarchy on it is like not getting the latest like Gmail update. It's like, what do you mean you haven't? It was forced on all of us. Okay, sorry. This breath's been really good to kind of bring me. We did not do the same episode, and I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Okay, you better. You don't knock on my wood. It has to be your own wood. I already knocked on the. I knocked on it.
She has a little tea cake stand over here. Okay, you want to do the speech?
Yeah. If you liked this, thank you.
Thank you.
We do it a lot. We're on all social medias at Well I Laughed. And if you want to email us, we're wellilaughdpod@gmail.com. If you're interested in finding ways to contact us, I think we have more ways on our Linktree. If you go to any of our, it's on our YouTube, on our social medias, wherever. And then if you want to support us, we do love that. That right now, I mean, it's not an expensive hobby anymore. It's still an expensive hobby, but now we're actually making the pocket change.
We're able to pay for it.
Yeah, we're not in the red anymore. But we're at Patreon at Well I Laughed Podcast, and we have a lot of fun on our Discord over there. And it's getting to be enough people now where I feel like it's not just like dependent on you and I always responding. And
There's
it's
like
always
a whole thing happening.
It's really fun to like see people having conversations and like making little connections.
And to our friends out there, because I know Maia and I seem to really hit a crucial intersection of 19 to 21-year-olds getting their way through college.
It's really true.
Rating us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify actually really does go a long ways.
You don't need to give us any money. No. You just need to like...
5 stars.
Yeah. We don't get any money from Instagram. So like really, if you want to like watch our minute-long videos on TikTok, like on repeat for like several hours, it'd be really great.
And now there's 3 of you left. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I laughed and I learned.
I'm going to stop talking. Okay, bye.
All right, bye.